All I know is I just keep on loving. Just loving and learning with you. I'll keep on learning and loving, learning and loving, learning and loving with you. I'm learning with you. I'm learning, I'm loving, learning and loving with you.
Oh, yeah. I got my mango on. I got my mango mood. I got my slightly mango lemonade raspberry bubbly drink. Alcohol free, especially for this one. I have a beautiful guest here, Steve Mango. We're going to be talking about both of our in and out adventures and history being in Scientology. I have so many questions for Steve Mango. Steve Mango has his own YouTube channel, Mangotology, I believe it is, and he's been doing all kinds of things with exposing Scientology, dealing with his own health, dealing with own healing. And I'm so inspired by him, and so I cannot wait to have this conversation. And without further ado, please welcome Stephen Mango.
Hey guys, and I love you so much. I just have to say that during your intro, I was like
Aw.
rocking out over here. I'm like, I have to make one of your shows. I know you invited me on Saturday, but you know, with my health issues and stuff, it's like sometimes hard to like get out. I was in a
Yeah,
bit of a pain flare up. That's a whole nother story, but I can't wait to come to one of your shows. So please let me know when your next one is because you're
I
such a rock
will.
star. I love it.
I will, and thank you. And there was something about you. I've always loved your energy. I've always felt your struggle. I've always felt what you've been going through whenever there was something going on. And even during Doug times and all of this, I was always watching you. And it was just like, I haven't met you ever until the Father's Day protest, which we just had. And that was so beautiful. I mean, I had seen you, I think, once in the car when you were driving by, and you might have said hi. And I was it took a minute to be like, oh my God, that was Steve Mango. So yeah, I just love that we get to have this conversation. And I know that you've just been through so much shit and so much, I guess, like not shit. I don't want to say shit all the time. You've been through so much and you've learned obviously so much, and I can't wait to hear all about it. So I just wanted to invite everybody. A lot of you that are watching me, maybe you don't know of Stephen Mango. I know a lot of you do. And
maybe vice versa for my channel. They may not know your story. So I think that's really great that we're able to kind of like bring two forces together here, since I'm kind of like old school, you know, as a, critic, because, I came on the scene when it was like barely, it was like Tori Chrisman was out. It was Mark Bunker, I think, maybe.
And
Aaron
people
Smith-Levin
don't
did a couple
know
videos.
Tori is Tori Magoo, right?
Tori Magoo, yeah.
Okay, Chrisman. She used to, I guess in Scientology, a lot of people knew her as Tori Chrisman, right?
Yeah, that's like her.
And then when
real
she
name, I
started
guess.
doing her Tubi Tubes, it was her YouTube channel. It was more Tori Magoo. I don't know.
Yeah, I think, then I think she morphed into Tori Magoo. So I think it's Tori Magoo 44. So she was doing like videos like on her webcam and just kind of like going a little bit further into the story. When I was kind of like deeper in Scientology, I would start seeing that pop up because, YouTube, 12 plus years ago, there weren't like influencers, creators. It was just people like putting their music videos up, or like, it was like, kind of starting to come up with people like posting stories.
Yeah,
Very early days.
At this time, for me, after leaving the Sea Org, for me, it was my Little Red Radio days when I was like, oh, this is why YouTube could be valuable or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And I too was watching secretly Tori Magoo, or I think that's what she went by some other thing. And then not another thing, but I got her through another channel. Maybe it was Xenu TV or something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah, because he was there was just like a few of like us that were on the scene, but even before I joined, it wasn't like nowadays where there's like so many people who speak up and expose. So, even for me in those days to decide to want to speak up and share my story, I felt like there was a lot more at risk. Like I wasn't the first critic. I'm not claiming I was like in the early like, days of, being a critic, but in terms of like a social media sort of critic, it was kind of in a like early stage. So I was like kind of watching someone like Tori or Xenu TV in these videos when I was kind of in my days when I'm like, okay, something's kind of amiss here. But yeah, I'm from like my whole point was I'm from the old school kind of days. And how long have you been doing it now? A couple of years now? Or how long have you been a YouTuber, would you say?
I
Like
mean, I was
exposing
doing.
Scientology and everything.
I had this channel. I've had this channel actually for almost like 20 years or something. I
Oh,
don't even
wow.
remember.
So
Maybe
for a while.
15 years.
Uh-huh.
But I was just doing my private music
Yeah.
videos and I thought, I mean, it took me like a year just to do one video and I thought it was the best thing in the world, or not really the best thing. To me, the
Yeah.
best thing means like, wow, I finally released something that I made and like could express myself in any way.
Yeah.
And so I was really into making music videos and even just short little, I have so much footage that I haven't gone through that I'm
Oh
now
my God, that's
finally being
awesome.
like, wow, cleaning things up in my
Yeah.
life and being like, I could actually be sharing this footage. What the fuck am I
Yeah.
doing?
Isn't
So
it
I'm
so
gonna be.
amazing to have that creative control where you could nowadays? Like, I know we're both creators in the sense of like, I'm trying to be an actor now, you're a musician, and we're exposing Scientology and making videos that go out there. And it's still, a creative endeavor to, do any of this. So, isn't it really cool versus like years ago? You had to wait for someone to give you that chance. You had to wait for a journalist to like allow you to share your story, and then you're in a newspaper clip. You know what I mean? So, it's cool that we could expose Scientology. And I read that today too. Someone was like, because I was watching a video of these people exposing Scientology. I don't know if you've seen it. I can tell you the guy's name. It was like in the last like month or two, they went undercover. They went to Chicago and they went
I
somewhere
think
else.
so. I'm like so up on it now. Normally
Yeah.
I'm not. And then all of a sudden, like between the TikTok and the YouTube
Oh,
reels,
there's so
I
much.
love it. I
It's
thought it would
amazing. Yeah.
annoy me, and it's like there's another person sneaking or not
Yeah.
sneaking in, but doing some where they're catching the normal behaviors of inside of Scientology.
That they just can't stop people
They
nowadays.
can't.
Before they'd be like, okay, we'll pay off this journalist, or we'll do that, or we'll make sure no one goes to the newsstand that day. Nowadays, what are we going to tell people? Don't go on the internet. The biggest thing we have it in our
And
phone
like
every
take off
second.
your glasses. Are those like
Yeah.
it's so inappropriate.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so when did you like leave the Sea Org? And I'm just trying to for my own timeline. Like when
Me
did you
too.
leave
I'm
and
so
everything too?
excited.
And then I'll tell you mine and everything.
So I was at the Int Ranch Cadet Org.
Yeah.
I was born in Hollywood at the C and then was at the CEO /
Oh, wow.
ATA.
Mhm.
And then around 3.5, almost 4 years old, I remember being driven, shipped off, being
Mhm.
approved. Me and my sister, my brother, I think was meeting us in the older group a little bit later, but I remember being like, oh, we're getting on the run to go to the Int Ranch Cadet Org.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be this
Ugh.
big magical place. I don't know if you've seen any of the videos I've
Mhm.
talked about,
Yeah.
but it was like, oh, actually, the cadets are going to be doing all this work
Ugh.
to make it this shiny place that we're
Ugh.
all thinking it's going to
Oh my
be.
God.
So, so just lies after lies after lies. Was at the Int
Ugh.
Ranch for 13 years of my life, and then
Mhm.
at 13 years old, we were shipped off to Clearwater, Florida, to join the Outside World Sea Org to learn
Mhm.
the operation of the Sea Org. So that was like 2000, and then I was in
Mhm.
Clearwater, Florida from 2000 till like 2013, the end of 2000.
Okay.
I mean, sorry,
Mhm.
not 13, not 13, sorry, 2003.
3. Mhm. Okay.
So I was just there for it seemed like I was as a teenager, it seemed like I was in
Mhm.
Clearwater for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Oh my God.
But I was just there from like the end of 2000 to 2003. And I was in, when we first got there, of course, we did our EPF and we were shipped off in little groups, like who were
Mhm.
approved to, like after your
Sure.
sec checks and all
Mhm.
that were done as
Yeah.
children at the cadet org.
Mm.
Then we were like shipped off in like 8 to 10 cadet groups to go on a plane and go to Clearwater, Florida. Like
Oh
our
my God.
parents weren't even with us. But
Ugh.
anyways, so yeah, we were there in Clearwater. I was there for 3 years, and then I basically 13, 14, 15, 16, exactly. So
Mhm.
near 16-ish, 17, I was trying to leave the Sea Org for the third time. I think I had actually tried to
Oh
leave
my
like
God.
4 or 5 times, but
Ugh.
this is where I was like, okay, I'm not going to let them change my mind anymore. I just
Yeah.
was like, I was so mad at myself at one point where I was like, I didn't understand how I let myself not leave. I was like, how did they get me? How did they get me back? And it's, again, now as an adult, I'm going, God damn, the hypnotic, the literal grooming of saying this is the way to think, don't think any other way.
Yeah.
And so you just like keep slipping back to like bad behaviors, including not being like able to think for yourself, wanting to leave the Sea Org on your own. Just like, I just want to leave. Anyway, so by the third time, I finally, they were like threatening me with like non-interpolation order and being declared because I wasn't 18. And
No.
so, hi, honey. And I wasn't 18, and that I was a big risk, you know, because I was at the ranch and my mom is at Gold and does all the, you know, editing for all the videos that people watch at the events. And so her job's very important, and my father and da-da-da. So they're like, what are we going to do with her? She's a flap. So that's basically my thing. I finally was about to get declared. At a certain point, they finally let me leave, and I wasn't even 18. I hadn't turned 18 yet. I was still 17, and they shipped me off basically to LAX. I met my mom with her buddy Taryn Render, who was who's Mike Render's daughter, who's an base exec little oh my God. And so I was kind of like so disturbed to see her, like, and she was like, hi, you remember me, right? Of course. I'm like, oh God, you make me want to vomit. Anyway, so then I got my mom and
where did they send you from
Taryn
that point?
went into a minivan and we drove to, I think we like stopped to maybe get some clothes or something. I don't fucking remember. I was just like, whoa, this is weird. And I thought my mom was gonna like stay with me and like kind of like settle me into the new world or something. I don't know. I was just, I felt guilty for being excited that my mom was there to meet me at the airport when I got to LA and all that. I thought like, oh good, my mom's finally taking care of me or whatever. Anyways. And so, then we go, she drives me to Eagle Rock and they drop me off. My mom stays there with me for a few hours, but she drops me off at the Burpee's house, which is Tom and Lori Burpee. They're like Jenny Burpee. Do you know Jenny Burpee?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Okay, she unalived herself recently. She was best friends with Catriona White, who unalived herself, who was dating Jim Carrey and all that big mess.
And that was like, I remember that story specifically because other ex-Scientologists found me, like I think I was in the story, like when I was first speaking up, I think it was in that post where they mentioned about that happening. I think I was, you know, Tony Ortega might have posted my video or something then. So that's why I remember that name. So that was like at least a decade ago. I mean, obviously a little bit longer than that.
Yeah,
12
it
years
was.
or something,
That's
but
so
anyway,
crazy.
I'm cutting you off. Ugh,
yeah,
so
and that's kind of the first time I actually met Tony Ortega. I don't even know if he remembers this, but I'm sure he does. But I basically like messaged him like, no, I have more information about this. This was not, you know, and he was asking me like, you know, how did Catriona get involved with Scientology and all this? And I'm like, oh, she's friends with all of the, you know, people at the art share, all the Scientology kids that were all in the Sea Org, but some of them left and some of them were friends of public ex-Scientologists and they're all just Scientologists though in some way. They're all being like, you're being brought. So they took the manager of the art share building at the time was just basically like letting ex-Scientologists or not ex-Scientologists, Scientologists in some way, shape or form, even if you weren't acting like a Scientologist. You were able to sneak in before anybody else because they already knew you through the grapevine of Scientology. So, then through that, I started, you know, still learning about music and art and just living my life, even though it was still very Sciento land. It was like, I even think one of my friends, James Rockwell, he like named the art share the Sciento Lofts, something like that. I don't remember. But I was like, stop it. That's joking and degrading. But yeah. And so then I kind of figured out my life from there. Like, so.
Wow. And it's just so crazy to
LA.
me. You know, my really good friend is Marisa, who is Diane Etex on YouTube, and she's born in, second generation. I just always, when I hear all of your stories, it's just like, so like, just for you to be able to go from full indoctrination from being a kid, to be able to have a point where, everything, you have to be able to like deconstruct it. Because, I got into Scientology when I was 18, but still, even for me, it was challenging. Never mind if that was all I ever knew. So, just so much kudos to you.
Thank you. But when you say you got into Scientology at 18, what do you mean by that? Like, because my
So,
question is, most people, when they say they get into it, is like they think, oh, I took my first course and then I was into it. But I think not most people. I'm just
yeah,
saying that's what the average idea might be.
yeah,
But also people don't think they went into it, even if their parents are hardcore Scientologists and stuff, they don't consider themselves into it until they've started a course or something like that. Whereas I don't see it that way. If you're a
yeah,
child of Scientology parents, you are already being groomed to be in a
from day
certain
one.
behavior from day one, from whenever they became Scientologists.
You're listening to their lingo back and forth, how they
Even
talk,
in,
how they communicate, everything, right?
even in the womb as child, like literally being Sea Org
Yeah,
babies, and my brother and sister, there's like, I can't imagine, they're literally listening to TRs and objectives and L. Ron Hubbard's
yeah.
voice before they're even born.
Ugh, yeah. I didn't even
Okay,
think of it in
anyways,
like
didn't
that
want to
sort of way,
go
but no,
that
no,
deep.
but it's true though, right? Because that's kind of how they kind of like view it, right? But no,
Hmm.
I got in. So I grew up in Boston. I was wanting to be an actor.
Boston.
Yep. So I grew up there. I was in a really strict kind of like Catholic school upbringing, but kind of why I think I was kind of like also groomed for Scientology was because I was being so relentlessly bullied, and this was probably 2005 ish. Moved to LA in 2009, but like hardcore bullying for being gay, like physically being abused, like walking down the hallway, like you're, I don't want to say the F slur for gay, but, pushing me into like walls and lockers, like physically assaulting me for being gay, tripping me or pushing me downstairs, all of that. But in a Catholic school that was really strict Catholic, in those early days too, it wasn't big about like cyberbullying or stuff. Like none of that stuff was real.
Right.
I mean, it was real, but in terms of it wasn't like people talked about it. And MySpace was just kind of getting up. So I was getting some like online bullying, but it was all in person. Like I used to do these like acting skits and videos, and teachers would put them up on those like smart boards where, it's like a digital bulletin, computer thing. They'd put up videos of me. And again, just mocking my sexuality and just my voice, how I walk, how I talk, all of that. So I was always just in a depression and feeling suicidal and all this sort of stuff. So my big thing was, hey, I'm going to move to LA. I'm going to make it. I'm going to be this big movie star, at 17 or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to have all those people wanting to apologize to Steve Mango once they see me make it. And I'm on every TV show and I'm walking the red carpet. I wanted it to be like, it wasn't just like, oh, like I would hope one day that they'd apologize. I'm like, no, I want this to be like a worldwide spectacle of Steve Mango's on every billboard, newspaper, whatever. I just wanted to be like, my true self. I could be in LA where I could be gay. I mean, until I got sidetracked with Scientology, but I wanted it to be like this big, like FU to my upbringing, my parents, just everyone. I was just so resentful that no one let me be like my true authentic self. So moved to LA to be an actor, but I was probably 2 or 3 months from turning 18. So again, I was probably,
Wow.
I remember like
So we
walking
both
around
came
Hollywood
in
Boulevard.
around 18.
Yeah, like
The
right
best time
around.
to come into LA.
Yeah, right. When like
Oh
when
my
you're
God.
like
Out of a
emotionally
cult
like
mindset
susceptible
or,
and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, oh
or
my
any sort of
God.
religion, Catholicism, any of that, it was just like I want to be my true self, but then I got more into another cult. So I saw like the test, booths set up on Hollywood Boulevard. I've seen, all the Scientology buildings and stuff. So I think it already was kind of putting in my mind, like, oh, I wonder what this is. Like, we heard about John Travolta, Tom Cruise, like that stuff was all in the media at the time with Tom and Katie and all that. So I knew the word. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't know about anything else. I'm just like, oh, it's a big Hollywood religion. So I, again, was trying to pursue my acting career. And then I turned 18 in July. It's a very specific sort of timeline because I got into Scientology August of 2009. So it was about like 4 weeks of turning 18. No one
Okay.
at 18, like, okay, 4 weeks. I'm like basically still, a kid more or less. I mean, I don't look at any 18 as an adult, really like
Right.
21, but I didn't know any better people. Like anyone watching, like, oh, why did you get into it? Because I was already coming from that background of already feeling, like I wasn't my true self and being abused from my sexuality and all this stuff. Like I was just really lost. And then I'm trying to pursue acting. And to my teenage mind, it's not as easy as it is just to show up and get some acting headshots done. Like you have to actually, get the agents and the managers, and you have to meet casting directors and you go to workshops, and it's money, money, money. And I only had a couple $1,000s. My rent was $1,500 a month. Plus everything else I have to do, like I just explained, the classes, the headshots, blah, blah, blah. So I only had a couple months to really make it. So this is why the Scientology element's really kind of important in the early stage, because I'm getting in there on reading Backstage Magazine, the industry actor trade paper. Oh, look, breaking into the industry. The big sort of glossy, ad saying, get in the Screen Actors Guild. Oh, I want to do that. How to get the agent, the manager, everything, free workshop. Scientology Celebrity Center. Oh, cool. You see the big photos and everything in there. And like, well, you know what? I'll just check it out. Like, I'll see what this is. It's an industry workshop. The best that'll happen is I learn some stuff. The worst that happens, I get sucked into a cult. I didn't think of it in that way, but looking back now, that's kind of how my early Scientology, days started. So right in the beginning, the first couple weeks in Scientology with the registrars, the early Div 6, kind of like beginner registrars that are selling you guys the books and lectures, you guys all know. You're all, highly aware now how this all goes. But in those early days, they'd be saying to me, we are going to help make you the next Tom Cruise. That was my ruin of sort, is my acting career is not working out. I want to be an actor. I'm depressed, whatever, and blah, blah, blah.
When I had that thought in my mind of, I'm definitely leaving the fucking Sea Org this time. I'm not I was still thinking like a Scientologist. I was just like you are not like but the one thing I said right after they were trying to convince me for the last time, I had already finished my security check and all the fucking work and everything. Like, I had finished it. And the snooty security guard, Marlon Holt, just like came up to me and was like, why do you think, you're so, what are you going to do out there? Like, what's your plan? It was like that. And one of the things I was saying, like, well, Scientology is like so important and is the number one thing and all this. I was like, Tom Cruise should be doing a lot more, for Scientology with the platform I didn't use platform because I didn't know what that was. But I was like, for as big as he is a celebrity, he should be doing more for Scientology. So if at least I could get even half as big as Tom Cruise, then, I could be promoting Scientology a lot more than what he was doing. And they were like, right. They totally like put me down for it. But I really, truly believe that. So
that's exactly how it was for me too. And I was trying to get recruited into Sea Org or staff, whatever. I was the same attitude of like, hey, I'm working on my acting career. If you guys are really doing what you say that you're going to do to help make me this big actor, I promise in return, I'm going to sing the Scientology praises if you help me get to that sort of point, right? I'm like,
right. And why not? You're like, hey, I'm being upfront. This is what I want to do.
You help me, I help you type of thing. But even before, like, that's like way deeper in. But like just in the beginning stages, it's like, hey, like, I need help to become an actor. And anyone who also would doubt me over there, oh, Steve, you're gullible, you're this or that. It's like at 18, you have somebody telling you, this big celebrity church saying, hey, we have all the connections. We have an industry night at CC. We're going to help meet you or network you with all the industry people that are Scientologists. We're going to help you and put you on the pile here. If the headshots are all lined up here, we're going to help you get to here. Versus you're just not going to be known. Like, you're just going to be on the bottom of some headshot pile and no one's going to know of you. And you're not going to get the agent, the manager, whatever, right? Like, we have the connections to help you go here at like a rocket ride. So why wouldn't I do that? Looking back, I mean, of course I shouldn't have if I knew better, if I knew how to really like research and I was in that right mindset. But, it's finally somebody telling me I was good enough. My family, no one, they're all just like, we'll see you in 6 months back in Boston because you're not going to be good enough to make it. So I'm over here having people say, no, like, you're so talented. Anyone who's, criticizing you, like, you have to look at that, like the ups and downs in life course. And you're like, okay, maybe they're suppressive. Maybe this person doesn't have my best interest. And then it's just like that grooming into the Scientology.
PTS and oh, that's why I'm sick. I'm connected to so-and-so.
Yep. And it's always the family too. It's very interesting. It's never like anything. It's always like, it has to be your mom or dad because those are the ones that would have the most influence.
Yeah.
My family wasn't Scientologist. So it's like, get rid of anyone around you that could be in your ear telling you that this is all just a money-making con and a scam. But, I was going on course every single day, first course period, all the way through every single day, just being like, I have to go all in on Scientology because what they're also was saying at the time too is like, hey, if you do like the Purif or you do like auditing, whatever, and you give us like $10,000 for an intensive, what's going to pay you $10,000? A TV commercial as an actor, like, you're going to pull that in, right? So you have to give it first, though. It's never just like, we'll give you the commercial or we'll help you get there first, and then you use that money. It's like, no, you give the money first, and then it's like that pull receive sort of type of cause and effect type of thing. So it was just always like, when you look back at it, and I don't know if you've ever felt that way too, it's just like, I'm like, what was I in? Like, how did I, just get sunk in so deep, I understand why, you were raised in it and, you were, you
but
didn't
even
have a choice,
I asked myself that. I'm like, wow. And I also reverse it being like, how did the world not jump on this so much faster and earlier?
Yeah.
And then you see, oh, Scientology really put this whole machine together for this purpose. This is whether it's you come through acting, whether you are born in it, through the Sea Org, knowing that you're going to have your child born in Los Angeles so that you don't have to have a legal reason to go back to Canada. You can stay and work for your whatever religion because you've had a child in Hollywood. Like that was my, so it's just so like, there's so many of us kids that it doesn't matter how you get pulled into it at this point. This is Los Angeles. This is America. Everybody's getting sucked into all kinds of cults and groups. And never once are we openly talking about all these like culty, detailed behaviors that slowly go, oh, this is how, you can ask a short question like, wow, how did you get yourself like sucked up into something like that as quick as 10 seconds? But the answer to something like that obviously takes so much longer. And that is the answer is it takes so much little details in time over and over and running you down and spitting out lies and making yourself that you think you're chasing. You end up going like, why the fuck was I chasing that for so long?
Yeah. And it's just like so insidious, and there's so many different elements. Like I might have been like the actor sort of like section of Scientology that got roped in for that. Then there's the people who are coming in on a religious visa, and they have their own reasons why they can't escape because they're coming from, you know, whatever other country, Mexico, whatever, and they don't want to go get shipped back home, or maybe they have nowhere to go or whatever. So there's that. There's the second gens or third gens now, or however many generations now that could be possible. But that sort of category of kids that were raised into it and have their own reasons why they don't want to maybe lose their family, whatever. Then there's another category. So it's just like they have so much, and it's just such a well-oiled machine that I'm just so glad that there's so many people that speak up about this who could raise awareness. Because like years ago, why wasn't it until like 2010-ish when like Leah started coming out and a lot more YouTube stuff started to happen? It really should have been like 30 years before that. And I don't know why so many people, like, it was still a thing. People knew, but it was more like whispers, you know, it was like, it was out there, but it wasn't as like, you could just access any of us so quickly.
On one of my last episodes I did about healing and trauma and the abuse at the ranch, I was reading references where like they were created. This shit, baby stuff was happening, like abuse with babies and kids and children were happening in 1970.
Ugh, yeah.
And it's like, why then was the solution the Ant Ranch?
Yeah.
Because how was that a solution? Like clearly over 40 years then they were repeating the same thing that clearly was not a solution. And they're doing the same thing with pulling minors, pulling people in that either are from other countries or they have other family members where they know they're going to have to eventually involve their whole family inside of Scientology or disconnect and separate from them at some point. Once they've reeled them in enough, they've had enough time, enough lengths of time to slowly instill indoctrination and everything and try to connect it with your life and say you're wrong and you need this to fix it.
Yeah, it's just like so sad too. Like when you think of people like Chance, you probably remember the whole situation when I helped like Chance, who was, you know, he was also gay. It's like I looked at him as like my younger self.
Can we talk about that?
Somebody
asked about that just really quickly. Yeah, somebody asked about that in chat. They said, did you, where is it? I think I started. Guys, if you have any questions, we're going to go through a bunch of stuff. And
I was seeing some of the comments here too. Yeah, he, so basically, long story short for people.
There we go. Welderman 132. Question, Stephen, did anyone besides yourself help the guy you asked help for when he was leaving the cult last year?
Did anyone besides yourself? Yeah. So basically what happened was he found me. So I get a message on Instagram. Again, I haven't been really active. I've just been kind of like living my life, have health issues, so on and so forth. So I've kind of like stepped back from being like, you know, like a big YouTube, like daily videos. Like it's been a while since I've been in that sort of category. So when he messaged me on Instagram, he's like, hey, Steve, I'm like a 20 or 22-year-old, you know, gay guy. And I'm trying to, you know, leave Scientology. Like I'm in a hostel right now. Like I think he was even messaging me at one point when he was actually in, like, hey, I'm staying at the hotel, like on Fountain, and I'm staying there and, you know, I want to leave or I want to escape. And again, I wasn't sure if like that Scientology trying to like get some sort of like information on me is like, is this some OSA thing? Or like, I was really just like, I don't know, like what's the likelihood they'd come to me versus like any other person that's making like YouTube videos. But again, I was, you know, kind of the similar situation, but I'm like 10 years older than him, right? Or a little bit older than that. But anyways.
And also there's honestly not a lot of people that are gay that are out in the Scientology community. And in the Scientology community, it's very looked down upon to be gay. If you're gay,
100%.
They're using the F word all left, right, and center as an insult to anybody. And so it's a normal casual thing in Scientology, whether they hide it or not, or say, I have gay friends.
Yeah.
The attitude toward gay people is 1.1 on the tone scale of Scientology, which means your natural tone level is just shitty and you're constantly backstabbing people and trying to do covert things. And so it just puts you in a light of a shitty person. So yeah, sorry, I just
exactly.
wanted to.
No,
So yeah, I can
that's good
imagine
information.
somebody being gay is literally like, wait, Steve Mango here is talking about,
Yeah.
and he's gay, and he doesn't look like he's talking about
Yeah.
some shit. Like he knows what he's got a head and shoulders.
Yeah,
He's got a little bit.
And I think because I was in LA too, maybe he also felt like, okay, how could someone in another state
Right away
help
help me?
I live right, and I've been open. I live like 2-3 minutes away from Scientology Media Productions. I'm right down the street. I could walk there. I'm that close. So I think he also felt like, okay, he's talking about being in the area and stuff like that too. So maybe it was that, but I still was a little like, I don't know. I kind of have to like suss it out a little bit and kind of see what his deal was. But I was going out to dinner with my husband. He's like, oh yeah, like I'd like to talk to you on the phone, whatever. So then when I actually found out he was a real person and the story was legitimate and stuff, he was at a hostel. I think what happened first was I drove down and I had my camera and I said, look, no, and I think we did talk about this on the phone too. I'm like, no pressure. But if you want to make a video, I have a whole community of people that could step up and help you. Like I can make a community post, which is good. But if you want to like blow the lid off this thing, you're not trying to go back type of thing, and you need help, which obviously he does. I just don't have like, here's $5,000 just to give to someone on my Instagram DMs. Of course, if I did it or if I could help in that way. But, I took him to a really nice lunch. I spent 2 or 3 days with him, just like full time, just talking to him. We went to Starbucks, just like all that sort of thing. Then I think like around like that day 2 or 3, we made the video because he's like, I have 1 day left, like $30. Like in terms like the hostel, it was like 20 or 30 a day. Maybe I paid for a night or two for I've given him at least, well, I'll tell you how much I raised for him and stuff. But right on that day when he was checking out, it was a Saturday. He was leaving by like noon. So I like got to him by like 10 a.m. or something like that. And I think I picked him up, and that's when donations rolled in because my video was live. So thank God I raised him over 2,000, I think like 2,000 or $2,100. But then I also contacted, because again, at the time I didn't know what to do. So I contacted SPTV Foundation and I contacted Aftermath because I'm like, I'm one person. This is what those organizations are supposed to be for.
Right.
I didn't know about all. I knew that there was drama with each one, but I'm just like, let me just see if they're willing to help.
Right.
I think Aaron also got him another like $2,000 or so, or maybe 1,500. He paid for some of his rent and stuff. And then I think Aftermath ended up like weeks later or months later, they didn't have like an emergency way to help him, but they like paid for some like medicine he needed and stuff like that. So I think the grand total was around like $4,000 or something like that. But his rent was like $500 a month or something. So he got several months of his rent and stuff. So I got a message, or I saw it on Reddit too. He posted and he's like, oh, thanks to Steve Mango and also SPTV and Aftermath, he was able to like secure like, his own apartment, and he has a stable job, and he has like money coming in now and stuff like that. So, I mean, we got him like literally off the street, like hours to go. So luckily he found me, and just like, so like, thank God, it must have been like some spiritual like alignment for us to cross paths. Because what if I didn't look at my DMs or something happened, or I don't know. I didn't want to think about what could happen to a young person in LA just, on the street like that.
Yeah.
Just a scary
coming in that
prospect.
Situation. I mean, all situations like that, but yeah. I'm so
Especially
glad
someone,
you
like,
were there.
and they're gay, and you might go on like a dating app or meet someone in LA who's like an unsavory person. They see that they're in like a vulnerable position. Like, just so much could go bad, and it's just like people are like, oh, why didn't you let him stay at your house or do this or do that? Like, I wish I could just take in every person, like, and just be like, come with me, stay with me. I wish I could, but then it's like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Like, help him get a job for a couple of months. He didn't want to stay in LA either. He wanted to go to Colorado. Like, there's only so much I could do. Steve Mango didn't want to let him sit on the couch. It's like, it would only help for a few days. Like, what am I gonna do? Then evict him? Like, it's just like, it wasn't like a good situation at him. But I mean, luckily it all worked out. We got him on a plane like 3 days later. So to anyone who was wondering, I was meaning to make a video about it, but everything's good on that end. But
And do you still talk to him now? Or are you in touch with him or whatever?
Here and there, like, we'll send a couple like texts back and forth. Like, I think just, he's working, he's like establishing his life. And I think too, like, and I think there's a couple other critics and stuff he was talking to, but I think for him, he didn't want to be like just talking to him about it in this early stage.
He's got to live life. I could see
the PTSD in his eyes and stuff. I'm just like, let him like have his fun and
yeah.
I adopted a cat. Like, this stuff he was telling me, I'm like, okay, good. Like, just have like a normal like stuff. Like, don't feel pressured. Like, oh, I have to speak out and save everyone. Like, I think that's what a lot of us feel in the beginning. I don't know if you felt that way too, but it's like you get out and you're like, okay, I want every person to know that this is a cult and what happened to me. And sometimes like it's good to take a little breather, or else you're just like triggered in it, you know? I mean, that's at least for me. That's my mental advice. It wasn't good for me
Yeah.
to talk about it every day. I needed like some time to kind of like chill from the experience. But yeah, like if you're gay in Scientology, like good luck to you. Like I was in the closet when I was in Scientology, but you know, I obviously knew I was afraid being on the meter every single time that, you know, they're going to find out my secret and then what's going to happen to me because, you know, I was going to maybe join the Sea Org, like right around the time when I was talking to my spouse. I only had a little bit of money left. I mean, this was like 4 years into the experience. And then, you know, he was telling me Scientology was a cult, but I was so deeply in, I was going to go to Flag and I was going to join the Sea Org there. Again, just my idea in my brain was stay deeper in the closet. Scientology is like what's going to spiritually like save you in other ways. Like these are the people who like have your back, and you could be in Scientology videos as an actor if you want to be or whatever. Like I rather use my talent for that. In my mind was like helping to promote Scientology than like say be on television and portray, you know, somebody abusing drugs or a psychiatrist or whatever Scientology feels is like, you know, a low toned, you know, horrible person more or less in their mind. Right. So I'm like,
Yeah.
why would I use my acting talent for that? I could be in a Dianetics video. So that's kind of was my mindset. And then I'll be in the Sea Org, and this is great. And I didn't have any money. Like, you know, I was putting my rent on credit cards at that time. So I had very short period of time to like make a decision. Like I could have been chance, you know, I could have like just given them every dime, which I was, you know, 50 grand in the hole by that point. And yeah, you know, I could have been evicted from my apartment, and who knows what had happened to me back then. But, you know, luckily I met my spouse and we got more serious, and I decided to leave Scientology behind. I started working more. So it ended up being like, okay, but you know, it was just like, that's what happens. They either take all your money and then you have to join the Sea Org if you qualify to join according to whatever they, you know, say, or unless you had like, you know, angel dust or PCP, whatever, it's like, you can never join the,
LSD.
yeah, you cannot ever join if it's that, you know, otherwise you're giving them all your money or you're giving them all your labor
But
or
so
both. So
don't
that's all you
didn't
get.
where when did you come out of the closet, I guess? I don't that
Yeah, no,
word
that,
that term is weird, but
yeah,
when did you open I mean, like, because
yeah.
in the Sea Org they would definitely like they
Yeah,
would be questioning that.
yeah, I was never gonna come out if I stayed in Scientology. I never had plans like come out and then still stay in Scientology. But once my spouse was like waking me up to it, I was basically secretly dating him. So basically, I was going in, you know, to course. I was like doing my normal sort of stuff, and you know, going into session, and then basically I'd go back and I'd come to hit like the house we're in now. I'd come here and I would see him like after course. And, you know, I wasn't giving him like the full extent. I kind of lied to the degree I was in Scientology. It's like, you know, I'm doing some like courses there, but, you know, it's for acting purposes. It's not like the Scientology courses. It's just about like making it in the industry. Like I wasn't being fully honest with him, but
Right.
because I wasn't really sure which direction I was going in. Because if he was going to be very like antagonistic to Scientology, then, you know, that puts me in a position of being like, okay, like I was still brainwashed in, but I was still, I was still kind of on the fence because they were so aggressively regging me for everything. It was just like at that time, especially, it was like every day you're getting calls about the basics. Every day they wanted more money for intensive auditing. Every day for Ideal Orgs. You're getting a call from, you know, it'd be like, oh, we're calling from the Chicago Ideal Org or whatever. And like you're getting these calls all day, right? Oh, we want
Yeah.
you to be the lifetime member. We want you to do this and that. So it was just always heavy, heavy, heavy regging and fundraising to the point where I'm like, something's weird. And then when I'm meeting Jeff, my husband, he's telling me things. So then it eventually, I fell more in love with him to the point where I'm like, you know what? Like, as I was doing my research online, watching the YouTube videos, looking at the media sort of stuff, I was just in a place where I'm like, you know what? Like, this isn't spiritual freedom. Like, no matter which way you look at it, like, that was my whole thing. Like, I want to, like, you know, have this, like, spiritual epiphany in Scientology. I'm like, wait, have I ever really had one? Is this helping me when I'm giving them all my money and then nothing ever comes to fruition? You know what I mean? So it's just like I got to a point where he helped like wake me up to it.
Yeah, I
And
feel like
then
there's something where people, for me, they make you ask yourself for real,
Mhm.
are you happy about this? Like they like
Yeah,
somebody you can love and trust can
exactly.
also help you really ask yourself, are you really
Yeah.
happy about what you're doing right now? Whatever it
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
It
Because
seems stressful
because I,
or
yeah,
whatever.
totally. Yeah. And I think for me though, at that point in time, I was already at a point of like, you know, just like I told you with like the family sort of stuff, I already had like bad family relations. So didn't want anything to do with my family. I just felt like they were, you know, SPs, even though they weren't. But, you know, I still kind of, you know, they
And
were
they
abusive to
weren't
me they were kind of like abusive to me in different ways. I don't want to say like they were like, I don't want to say like super abusive my whole entire childhood, but you know, there was just like elements of, you know, my upbringing that, you know, I felt was verbally abusive. There was a little bit of physical sort of stuff, but overall, and I feel like I'm justifying like the abuse for them. So I'm like, how do I like kind of say this? But it was like iffy my whole childhood, basically. Like we had like good periods that we were good. And then the teenage years on from like 13 through like, you know, the rest of the years, it was just like just butting heads. You know, I
Right.
wanted to be rebellious and move out and be this actor and like live my life and then eventually come out of the closet and just be happy and not be in a religious sort of school and upbringing. Like I had a lot of resentment about that. But then there was also another part of me that was, you know, okay, like they're not so bad. So it was just kind of like up and down, but I couldn't really go to them about Scientology because I knew that they were antagonistic, like from the little things that they would say, like when I would talk about like being on course or doing something, I'm like, no, 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 like you just don't understand. You have to come in, like they kept saying, bring in your family, bring in your family. But I wouldn't want to bring them in because A, they wouldn't, but B, then I'm thinking if they say anything antagonistic to anyone there and what is this is a cult, whatever, if they say anything
Then
that
you're
could risk my
screwed.
time in Scientology.
Right,
And then
right,
I have to
right.
handle them and they're not going to want to be handled. So I had to play it very
So
careful
your
with them, and
that was one of my questions. So your parents weren't in it. They like just like you said, you came in around 17 and
Yeah.
you were like, okay, interesting. So
Yeah.
see guys, this is a completely different
Whole different
aspect, completely different
Yep.
story.
Yep.
And we're gonna whoa.
Oh, you're muted. Yeah, I think you hit your mute button. Yeah, I'm in from like I'm the angle of Scientology, like while you're on mute. I'm the aspect of who they want, like all the efforts of the Sea Org and everything. Can you hear me? I can't hear you at all. No, I don't think they can hear you. Yeah, I'll keep talking. Yeah, so everything about the Sea Org and staff is to try to rope in someone like me to be able to sell Scientology to someone like me. So, you know, that's why they have the early Div 6 registrars, because they have to get someone like Steve Mango in off the street and sell them Scientology. So I'm the public member who's paying for Scientology courses. So I'm living and working at my home, just that sort of thing. But, you know, they're still grooming me. I'm paying for the courses, but of course they're still grooming me to join staff. They're grooming me to join the Sea Org and all of that. So my story was more of like financial abuse and just like regular Scientology, you know, experiences of, you know, what I went through too. So, you know, going into session and the hypnosis of that and, you know, coming out of session and having to give more money and you're already kind of like spacey and floaty after coming out of session. It's like money, money, money. Like you run out of that 12.5 hour intensive, the next one, more money, 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 money. So, you know, to buy a package of auditing, $3,600, right, for 12.5 hours. So this is on like a broke actor. I'm trying to make it. And then they're trying to talk to me like, okay, we're going to get you, you know, to meet with this person, that one. Like I did my purification rundown with Grant Cardone and these people. So I'm like,
Oh yes.
I'm in here
Can you hear me by the way?
I could hear you now.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I was like,
You
oh
just
my God,
did
I'm
it.
going to keep talking again. Somebody also mentioned that in the chat. I started, they said, can I just bring that up really quick since we'll answer some of the questions as we
let's do
go?
it. Yeah,
They
let's do it.
said, just really quick, they said something like, will you talk about, maybe I didn't start it. What's my problem? Okay, I didn't start. I was just going to ask you. So what was your connection with Grant Cardone? When did that happen? And like, how did you get involved in that?
Yeah,
In
so
that, I act like
in that.
he's like a thing. In that.
Yeah, so when I was on, I did 2 purifs. So annoying. But again, I think I told them, I was like, oh, I drank some alcohol or whatever. And again, they made me pay again after like within like 2 years of a difference or something like that. Like, oh, I drank alcohol. Boom, right back into the purif. So again, it's like, even though you're public, they still punish people that way. You're in a sauna for 5+ hours, right? So it's like, they still find ways to do that to the public. But that was the time I had heat stroke in the sauna. So Grant Cardone was in there. I was in there with an actor from the TV show True Blood. I was in there with, because again, it was a celebrity center. So they're all, you know, kind of like the Scientology actors sort of type of people that would be, you know, at Celebrity Center. So I got heat stroke in the sauna. So I'm sitting in there and I felt kind of like loopy. But again, what do they say? They say, oh, you're just like re-stimulating some, you know, whether it's anesthesia from your body or alcohol or whatever sort of drugs you may have consumed.
Just
Like, oh
take
no,
a
this
break
is
and get back
good.
in there.
Yeah, and then you have to go in, you're going to sweat it out, and then you're going to feel better. Just go right back in the sauna. But when
I
you're
was doing
feeling
the Purif
floaty
at Gold Base at 10 years old.
at 10,
At 10 years old, and I was vomiting like green ink looking, blue ink. I don't know what the heck, it probably vile, like stomach whatever.
yeah, of course.
But something was wrong. I was like, something's not right. And they
And what did
literally
they
tell
say?
you, they say you can't take more than a 15-minute break. Like you need to be getting back in there sweating. So I was like doing everything. I was like drinking water, like, and then I was like, I don't think I could do it. They said, well, then you can take a shower, like rinse off, take a
Yep.
shower if you need to cool
Yep.
down, and
That's what
then
they
go
do.
back in. There's a shower in
Mhm.
between the saunas
Yep.
at the Gold Base, at least.
Yep.
So I
Yep.
did that,
Main
and it
gym.
was just like go back in, and like my system was just fried at the end of the day, and
Ugh.
I had to come back in the
Especially at
next
10 years
day
old. Just a
and
kid, you know.
push it, cleanse it out. So yeah, they're very, it's just so fucking, and I'm never gonna try to make sense of it, but
Yeah.
it's so contradicting, just like L. Ron Hubbard. Everything he
Mhm.
says, I promise you, I can find something else that says something
Yeah.
else. Whatever he
Yeah,
just said isn't
exactly.
valid. But for somebody to be like, if somebody paid for the Purif, you don't make them pay for the Purif again. That's just like so greedy and not Scientology, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what you would think.
Yeah, tell
But
my
no,
wallet
they
that.
really
They did it again.
tell
Yeah,
your
tell my
wallet
wallet
that.
that I had to pay an extra $2,500
So,
twice
but
for the
but
stupid
it's
stuff.
just so wild how their dishonesty can be justified because it's Scientology, and you're if you didn't do it right the first time, that's on you, and maybe paying, it could just be excused. Maybe you
Yeah,
paying again is your part of your amends for being
yeah,
out
then
ethics to
basically.
yourself, or
Yeah,
maybe whatever it is. So either
yeah,
way, you're going to be screwed. But it's really, really insane, and we'll get into it, how deep it went in terms of I need this technology and I have to pay for it to get it.
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I was like fully like passed out like in the sauna. Like I had like a water cup and I threw it up. I'm like, oh, it's raining in the sauna. And it was like, again, it's like Grant Cardone's there and everyone. They're just like sitting there watching me. So again, throw up the water into the air. And then yeah, just like all I remember is like I think I was like lying down at one point, but then I remember being outside of in like the little sauna waiting area thing, and then like the Purif in charge woman comes down, and then she's like, "Oh, Steve, it looks like you're having a fun time," because they think I'm drunk, even though it's like I was not even 21. I mean, of course you drink underage, but not that much. Like it
But
wasn't like I was
you're
like
just
a
like
heavy
loopy.
drinker as
You're
a kid.
feeling loopy.
And they're
Right.
like, "Oh, good. Like this is the way to explain the heat stroke. Like, oh yeah, like you're feeling like like you're drunk or whatever." And then she'd be like, pointing out things like, "Oh, look at this. Thank you. Like, look at the whatever the clock over there. Thank you." And they're doing like their little locationals and stuff. Like, look at that. Whatever. That shoe over there. Thank you. Look at that. And she was pointing out everything there, thinking, like, we're going to bring him in a present time. And then
Oh
someone
my
brought me
God.
into that shower. So then it was like I remember a woman like holding me up like a lifeless like body. And
Yeah.
I was like kind of like collapsing in her arms. I remember that. And she's like putting me in the shower, like putting like the cold water onto me. I'm
Oh
sitting
my
there for maybe
God.
like 5 minutes. And then I went back in. I was in the sauna. I remember like the full entire time. It was like 7 hours and 45 minutes or 8 hours. Like again, you do like 4.5 hours a day. So it was on like double. So, and I know that they felt a little bit bad for me. Like they were like, oh, like, are you sure? Like you're okay. But what are they going to do? Like the technology says you're going to go back into the sauna. And I
Yeah.
remember I was still so out of it. I was trying to touch, like they had like the eucalyptus oil onto like the thing. And then they had like the, like the sauna sort of stuff. I was like running at it. I remember, and I'm like, oh yeah, like there's drugs on the tray that had like the eucalyptus. Like, oh good, I'm gonna go do some drugs. And of course I never did drugs, but it was just my mind in the heat stroke. Like, good, like in Scientology, good, I'm gonna go do some drugs. And I was gonna run to touch the drugs, even though there's no drugs. I'm gonna run and go do some drugs in the Purif. And they were like grabbing me because they didn't want me to touch like the 100-degree sauna thing. And I just remember like, good thing I didn't die that day. It was just
That is
crazy.
insane. I mean, it's insane, and I keep getting triggered in similar ways. Well, not triggered because I'm actually not being affected by it.
Yes, I
But
love
it
that.
reminds me of when the other cadet Kim lifted me up through the tool shed and I fell and I hit my head and got a concussion.
Oh my God.
They all day, Veronica Sodrin and Eric, all these people, all these other cadets were just, I was like vomiting, and then I would like pass out, and the TV, like the little, I say the TV, but like the little
Yeah.
fuzzies and then my vision, and I would be out, and I just remember like waking up, and I would be like on an anthill, like they would be like, "Come on, you got to get up. You're laying, Megan, you're laying on an anthill, Megan," or I'd be like, I remember her asking me like, I thought she was holding her hand up to me, asking me, like what color her hand was.
Yeah.
I swear she was asking me what color is my hand. And she was like going like that. What color is your hand? And I was like, tan. And it didn't register in my brain that she was saying, how many fingers am I holding up?
Yeah.
And that's just crazy. But so yeah, and they had kept me doing locationals and
No
drinking water
doctor
and
at any
doing
point.
location and
They didn't take you to some
the whole
Scientology
day
doctor or anything? Nothing?
until the near the end of the day. They said, we got to get her to the hospital because she's not stopping. She keeps
Yeah.
falling asleep and throwing up
And that's also probably one of those like every minute counts. Same thing with like heat stroke, any of these type of
every
things. Like
minute.
those are all deadly. You know, if they
Yeah.
just put me back in that sauna, didn't accompany me, and just make sure I was good or whatever. If they're just like, oh, good, he's taking a nap in the sauna. I don't know what. They make sure people stay like with their eyes open because people did. Another woman, she did the same thing. She was out on
She's
anesthesia. She was like
de-stimming the
flat out.
body. They
Yeah.
say de-stimming the body. Like, oh, she's just de-stimming right now.
And she was like
De-stimulating.
on her OT levels, and same thing like Grant Card, all these people like they get these people that are like higher up on the OT levels back down the bridge because at the time like they were coming out with, you know, all the grades again, and they redid it instead of objectives. It was a survival rundown, just a way to sell them all the same crap all over again type of thing. But you know, it was like such a, even though it's like I knew it was a cult, like when I got out and I talked to my spouse and then I came out of the closet, like it was all supposed to be like really happy times then, but it was like such still a loss because it was like that was the one thing that I thought was saving me from like the, you know, being gay and the abuse and everything I went through when I was a teenager. Then I come in this figuring I found this on my own, like, oh good, I'm this is like what I identified with. So then it was still so hard after that to mentally like, what am I going to do? Like go to a therapist when I don't believe in psychiatry or like mental health therapy? Because again, like, oh, maybe again, I didn't think this way for too long, but like maybe Scientology would be reformed. So I can't go to a therapist or take psych drugs, like take a Xanax or something, even though I had anxiety, like I couldn't do that because I'm thinking maybe Scientology would be reformed. And then, you know, I got sucked into the independent Scientology movement for a couple years. And that was a whole thing too.
Do you want to talk about
and-
that? Somebody asked if you were here. Let me find the question.
Yeah, because I mean, I could go off on that. That's a whole nother story too that I'm very
I want
passionate
to
about talking
because
about.
yeah, I
But-
want to because it needs to be very clear. I don't like it when people like are going through the way that we've all come out of Scientology and
Yeah.
learned like, oh my God, that's Scientology thinking and
Yeah.
coming out of it. And then people who have higher long-term like running against Scientology, they now can't be wrong or also as well encouraged to change or maybe do better at like or be more transparent and clear about what was going on at that time. Like that needs to be talked about, especially when your life was affected so much by it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
yeah.
yeah,
So
I mean, I was
one
going
of the
up the bridge
questions
and-
were, are you comfortable here? Are
you
you
comfortable-
comfortable speaking on how Karen charged you for auditing after you
Yeah,
left?
I'm happy to talk about it again because that was
So
what
who
the
we're talking
second
about
part
is
of it.
Karen Delicure, Jeff
Yep,
Augustine's wife.
Carrier. Yep. mhm.
Carrier. I don't
Yep.
even. How do you say it?
Carrier. Yep.
Okay.
Gayla Carrier. Yep. I'm happy to talk about because she was almost like, and again, I was like, I wanted to talk about this with you today. I didn't know if you were like cool with like them or whatever, but that was like the second part of my
That's
like
the thing. It doesn't
journey.
matter if I'm cool with
Yeah,
them
it
or
doesn't
not.
matter, yeah.
The truth, everything needs to come out so people can see how how things came about.
Yeah. So if people want to see like the full, like the screenshot, the receipts, I have like 2.5 hour long videos, like, and I expose like how I like all that went down and stuff. So if you guys go on my channel, you'll see the whole story if you're interested in like the independent Scientology stuff. So this was popular back years ago, but also when I came out. So this was the time of Mike Rinder, Marty Rathbun, Karen, all these people. Like basically at that time, Marty Rathbun was like the top dog critic, and he was talking about it. And he was saying like, look, we're going to try to, I think also Mike Rinder too, they were trying to start like some independent Scientology org in Clearwater, just like how they have the Lisa McPherson Trust in Clearwater. They were trying to really like kind of pitch this as like, this is the like holistic version of Scientology that's like good. We take out the like toxic policies and we're going to deliver Scientology counseling to former Scientologists and probably to other people as well. So Marty Rathbun on his blog as well at the time would post like, he didn't post me saying this, but it'd be like, Stephen Mango is now in the independent field. And they would share their story like, hi, my name is Stephen, and I was in Scientology for 36 years, and I was a former, you know, class 9 auditor in the Sea Org, blah, blah, blah. And then I found the independent Scientology community on the outside with Marty and Mike, blah, blah, blah. So I came out in 2013-ish, met my husband, obviously, we got married and stuff. And then I was kind of in a place where I wanted to connect with other ex-Scientologists. So it was again, like there was a couple of us that were on YouTube and stuff like that. But even before I made my video, it was a handful. Karen was making videos on YouTube at this time and I was watching them. And then my husband noticed I would like finally be like laughing and happy, because she would make videos like mocking the Sea Org. Like she put on like her Sea Org like outfit and stuff. Like she put on like the hat and everything, and she would do these like skits with Jeff, and they would talk about like regging and stuff. And it was like I finally felt like someone understood like what it
This
was like
is
to be.
wild. Sorry, I'm gonna.
Yeah.
If I cut you off, it's
No, go
literally
for it.
full
Go
of
for it.
love.
Go
Full
for
of
it.
love.
Go for it.
This is wild. At the same time, she's still auditing people, and people are you're like she's known for being an
Oh, we're
outside
getting
audit.
there. Yeah, we're getting
Okay,
there. Yep.
but I just
Yep.
want
Yep.
that.
100%.
I just
Yep.
want that to be in the
Yep.
visual where she's being funny with
100%.
the hats and all of that. She also still was
So
being
crazy.
a Scientologist, auditing
Yep.
people and charging people for money.
She was
This is
on
not an
all those
attack.
message
This is
boards. Yep.
literally to explain what happens when you have to leave Scientology fully and
Yep.
why it's so hard, breaking it down literally from my perspectives and
Yep.
my stories. And now you hear Steve's story where he's talking about it from a whole different outside perspective, meeting people and meeting Karen and Jeff in this perspective. So we do
Yep.
need to hear the details so that we can help them change to be better and more transparent, or you're going to be called out as just being not a trustworthy person
Yep.
because you can't talk about shit like that.
Yeah, and if people want to support
And if
them,
you
great.
did
I'm not
something,
trying to change
and
anyone's
it
mind
doesn't
here.
matter
Like,
if you
go
did
for it.
something, and so we'll talk about it. But if something happened, it needs to be, you need, if it's something you care about to change and be better at, then action has to be done, and no action
Yeah.
has been done. So
Yep.
this is great.
Exactly.
Let's talk about it.
Yep. Yep. So she would be on ex-Scientology message board. She had like a couple on Facebook groups and stuff like that. So she was being known as like a very public critic, but then she also was like, again, according to like people like me, there's a few others who I don't know how many people have spoken up about, her specifically, but I know people have come to me about this. I'm not going to like be like, oh, this person, that person, but she would get people who were newly out, because she was out probably for a number of years before I was. And again, she'd pitch Scientology in the same exact way as I was pitched Scientology in. So my husband saw that I liked Karen from like her YouTube videos and stuff. And my husband would play poker with Mark Ebner, who was, again, a Scientology critic. He went undercover into Scientology with Spy Magazine and stuff. And he was also doing, critic work and stuff. He was at the protest the other day. And my husband knew him from poker. Nothing bad about how he connected us, but it was just the fact that my husband knew Mark, who knew Karen. So we had Karen over the house to have like a dinner or something. So then, I'm telling her my story, and she's like, oh my God, you have to like, no one spoke up about Celebrity Center yet. You have to make a video and speak out and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I really want to. I didn't want to do it on her channel. I didn't want her to like tell my story for me, because she had other people speaking up.
Why?
I wanted it in like, I want to be in the driver's seat to not like, I wanted to do a 2.5
But I
hour.
ask you
like,
why, because in this position you were in at the moment, weren't you kind of looking up to them?
Yeah, I
So
did. But
didn't you kind of go, oh, this could help me? I'm just wondering why
Yeah,
we said,
no,
because
you're
I
true.
said no to certain things, and I
Yeah.
later was like, oh, why did I really? Oh, because I
Yeah.
kind of had this weird feeling or whatever. But I'm just wondering.
Yeah, because for me too, I wanted to share like what was Scientology, what was the like all of it. Like I didn't want her to reduce my story to a 12-minute video, because everyone's like, you can only tell a
Right.
story quick. No one has the attention span to watch
And
it. It's had millions of views. Like clearly
do
people
you
have
feel like
watched
it has something to do with your acting and stuff, where you're like, you want to make your own story and you want to be yourself and present your art or your gifts or whatever as your own and not connected to somebody else's gallery or whatever the fuck?
Yeah. I
had that vibe feel too.
Yeah, I think I also wasn't sure if I want, like, I wanted to share my story on video, and then when I felt comfortable, release it. I didn't want someone to be like, all right, I filmed it, and now it's going up tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, what if I'm not ready? Whatever. And I also wanted it to kind of be like my story and my words, and not let someone just kind of like reduce me as like I'm one YouTube video of all the stories. But I didn't know her well enough. I didn't really want to just be going to her house and like feeling pressured, like, okay, tomorrow's the day I tell the story. I could tell the story, and because I filmed it in my backyard any day of the week whenever I feel comfortable. I don't want to feel like I'm driving to Karen's house and I tell the story like, and
did it have
already said
something to
yes,
do
and-
with something also with the connection that you were going to be maybe getting auditing or doing Scientology with her?
It wasn't really at that point yet, but I think she's like, you know what, like, honey, how well trained I am. I'm a class 12 auditor. And she would like talk to me on Facebook, and she would send me little messages and things. And like, look, basically in her mind is like, the auditing that you were delivered clearly didn't work to be like standardly applied. Like they have their own Scientology, like they're doing now, that's like off L. Ron Hubbard. Like what Scientology was developed in like, the 60s, 70s, all those years where Hubbard was on the ship and giving lectures, whatever, like that's like the true Scientology to someone like that. Then it got corrupted when David Miscavige came in, and then it's like standardized tech, and Miscavige has all these omissions in the books and these things where Scientology wasn't like directly applied. But Steve, I am supportive of gay people. I'm supportive of all of that. So you're not going to have ethics applied to you. We're going to go into session. We're going to help like clear up the loss of Scientology because it's a big loss in your life. You're stressed, anxious, blah, blah, blah. So you're going to come in. We're going to just do like a quick little session. I'm going to just kind of ask you some questions, kind of find out like what's really going on in your life and what went wrong in Scientology. And then kind of go from there. Go to her house. Again, you know, I'm on the cans. You know, it was like literally like a
Well,
bed.
okay,
There was like,
let's get
yeah.
everybody to know. You say you're on the cans. What happened? Wait. What was
Yeah.
the first like? Okay, so tomorrow morning, come in and we'll start a session, or what? What was the pitch?
Yeah. I have like the full like 2.5 hours of it. So from my memory, like in the video, so like people could kind of see the messages and how it played out. My
Yeah.
memory of it, because again, this is probably going back, you know, from the early time of me leaving, so 2013 until like maybe 2017-ish or something. It was like around that time. It gets really bad. I mean, this in terms of I almost committed suicide and she knew, but it's a whole thing. But we'll get to that point. But so basically, I think I remember it's like, come over, honey, like we'll go on the cans and basically do what she said of like, we ask you some questions, like no
And
pressure. I'm not
see
trying to
where,
like tell you
see
when,
where we need to take you, right? Like where
yeah.
we can get you just on the basic beginning step.
Yeah, I think it was like a little bit of like the grooming of like Scientology is not standardly applied. I took, you know, however many millions of hours of training to be a class 12. I was in the Sea Org for 39 years, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just trying to help you in your life. But it was just another person trying to leech off of me who was young, vulnerable. She knew I didn't have my family relations. In the early part of my relationship with Jeff, we were kind of rocky. So this was like, we got married in like thinking about it, but it's August of 2013. So I probably saw Karen a couple months later because my video came out. That was January of 2014. So it was like right around that time I put out my story, and then it was like, whoa, like I got a lot of attention right away, millions of views and stuff like that. A lot of people contacting me, wanting to speak to me and stuff. And it was overwhelming, just point blank of like triggering to, you know, put my story out there and talk to other people. And everyone was trying to get in touch with me to be like, okay, like we want to like hear your story. I'm like, I know, but I'm like also traumatized. But that's around the time when Karen knew like I didn't have that like motherly figure that she was trying to be in my life, because Jeff and I were rocky. Like basically, like I said, I wasn't as honest to my husband, and we're now together all these years later. It's not an issue now, but I wasn't as upfront with him about how, you know, I was 50,000 in the hole with Scientology. He knew I was doing some courses and stuff, but it wasn't like, we're married, here's $50,000 of debt that we're sharing now. You know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden we have like this big financial burden to carry based off of me. So it caused like contention in our relationship and our marriage right away. So we're kind of like, are we going to stay together? Whatever. So Karen also, in the beginning, like, you know, I said, okay, like I'll go into session with her and stuff. And then she's like, oh, I also offer marriage counseling too. I can talk to your husband. We can kind of see like where he is. And then he's going to speak for like 2 intensives of auditing. Then you will speak for 2 intensives of auditing. Then I'll come up with a program, and then I'll help bring you guys together to see, like, do you have overts against him? For example, it didn't happen, but like, did you cheat on him? Did you like whatever, like what is the issue that's causing contention in the marriage and these issues and stuff? So I'm like, am I going to lose my marriage? What's going to happen? Am I going to be like homeless or something? So Karen was right there in the time where I was like under the weight of like, I left Scientology. I have all this debt. It was just like a backpack I was carrying of like the weight of the world, a 20-something-year-old, like 21 or 22, like not sure what to do in myself. So the auditing with Karen, she's class 12. So in Scientology, it was 3,600 in intensive. Karen at class 12 only charges $2,500. Oh, so Steve, you know what? You're getting a discount, and I could streamline it so much faster, Steve, as that class 12 auditor. You're not going to need as much. Like if you normally in Scientology would need like, I'm making this up, 8 intensives, we're only going to need 2. So you're going to save all that money. We're going to help you. Nothing bad. Like that's kind of how she pitched it to me. So I paid her $7,500 over like 3 intensives. So not only did I get fucked over by Scientology.
And what year was that?
2014 it started, and then it went on like off and on for like 2-3 years. Like I did like an
Okay.
intensive, and then we wait some more time, and then, you know, she'd take me in again a little bit, and then I was kind of struggling at another point in my life, and then she brought me in a session again. So I was doing the auditing with her, like we were kind of like redoing like the grades auditing and stuff like that. But again, you know, she was just like prying into my life about all sorts of my personal stuff. So it was almost like similar. But what would happen is she'd go, honey, warm up the cans. So I'd go into her auditing room. She has a little heater. So I'm like going like this. I'm heating up the cans. You know what she's doing? She's in her, like, I call it like a command center. She's in her office next to Jeff. They have three monitors, and they're going like this on all the Scientology message boards at that time saying, and I'm quoting, this is why it's really important. Scientology is a con. Scientology does not work. I have her on video, like from back in the time. At the same time, I'd have to find it, when I was going in a session of her saying Scientology does not work. There's no state of clear. She's literally admitting it. I can't even begin to. I'm getting like pissed off again too, but she's even admitting it. That's what pisses me off so beyond belief. If anything, like right now, I'm more mad about this than like Scientology. Just it like pisses me off. At least, anyways. Take a breath.
Take a breath
anyways,
and
like,
say it. You're not in a rush. So I'm not in
we're-
any rush. So take your time, because this is important. This is so fucked up. This is so fucked up for somebody to, it pisses me off that somebody fucking trying to leave and then like really, like, these people are old enough, they know. They've seen all the shit. Fucking Karen literally was married to Heber Gents. She knows what happened to her son, and she's doing this. Like, that fucking shit is not okay, period.
100%.
So there is some knowledge of accountability. There is, period. Even in that moment, she knew exactly what she was doing.
And it gets worse and worse and worse with her.
Okay,
and it's just so, no, you're 100% right. And thank you for giving me like another platform to speak on it. I've talked to it on my channel, but I just
It's
still kind of was
disgusting.
like, oh, do I talk
Auditing
about-
is disgusting. Scientology literally only collects these detailed informations to manipulate you. There's no actual solution to what your pain or what you're trying to heal. They don't actually have the solution for that.
Yeah. No.
You'll
and then
still
I'm
have to
over
go
here,
to a doctor and figure it out. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like she knew all along. It's not like she was still in, like she was still a Scientologist or something. Like she was using this just as a money-making scheme. At the same time, she was being sued by her former accountant. So she needed money, I think, even though she was wealthy, whatnot. She was in this very expensive litigation, I guess, just from Googling her with like her former accountant. Like, I guess his name was on like her house deed, and she's claiming her signature was forged or something, or she forged his signature. There was some sort of thing. I don't know. It's on the internet for people to know. So she was in the middle of going to court and stuff. And she was on all the ex-Scientology message boards saying Scientology is a cult. It doesn't work. It's a scam, blah, blah, blah. So literally at the same time, because I'm looking at the posts, they're coming up. Like, I'm in the room. I'm like, the cans have been heated for an hour. Like, she would just like lose track of time. And she would go on her other room with Jeff Augustine. Then she'd come back in here. And I'm looking at my phone at the same time. And I'm just like, she's literally on these message boards saying Scientology is a cult and it's a scam. It doesn't work, while she's taking me into session. I'm in session with her again. Even worse, she's charging me for the time. She's like, "Oh, Steve," and this is funny, but it was still annoying. "Oh, the cable guy's here. Do you mind if we pause the session right now? And I'm going to go out and talk to the cable guy," or whatever she had to do while you were in session. So I'm in the middle of talking about my trauma, right? Like, "Oh, and this is going on, and the person hits me," or whatever. "Oh, Steve, sorry." And you're never supposed to do this in a Scientology session. Not that it's good at all, right? It's all money making. It's
right.
In Scientology, you don't stop a session in the middle of like someone talking about like, their traumas and what they're going through in a session. So she pauses. I'm sitting there in the middle, like triggered. She goes out for like, however long it was. She comes back in, but I noticed at that time again, whether it was like an hour, 30 minutes, whatever, she charged me for that time. Because she wrote it on her session sheets. Like, it'd be like, we start session at noon, and then she would write 1:30. And then it's like, okay, where was the subtraction of, that time that she was charging me for? Big money when I was going to her as like my counselor. But again, I was young. I was afraid to like question
Fight
someone like
it,
her.
right.
Yeah. And she was older, but more like the motherly figure that I was looking for at the time. We'd have Thanksgivings together. We'd have Christmas together. Like, she started trying to get me like more in the fold. My husband too. Like, you're coming into like our life, and we're going to put you on YouTube and share your story, and I'm going to help you, and blah, blah, blah. So it just kind of seemed like she was somebody that I thought could understand what I went through at best, but maybe could help me too. Like, I don't know. I guess minimum at best.
And she, I mean, let's be clear, she's advertising herself in the anti-Scientology or the ex-Scientology, but still current Scientology community, whatever fucking community she wants to call it or whatever at the time, as somebody who's like somebody who can help anybody. I can help you do that. I can help get you on stage. I can help you get into the art. Oh, I can help you get a job. I have connections with everything.
Yeah.
And she's also somebody who was connected and married to the president of Scientology, Heber Gents. So she has complete like sort of manipulative authority when you're
Yeah.
coming out of a Scientology
Yeah.
world where you're going to feel like, oh, okay, I shouldn't question anything. I should just like, you
Yeah.
know, the tech is the most important and this will help me the most and it will all be worth it in the end.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I don't know if
And
I don't
she
know.
wouldn't be being dishonest, you know, because
Mhm.
you know, she wouldn't be able to go in session and maintain her spiritual freedom
Yeah.
if she's committing PT overts and
Yeah.
committing
Yeah.
crimes, you
Yeah.
know,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah. It was all. It's so weird to look back on that sort of time and just like how this was all going on. And I just, like I said earlier, it was like I couldn't just go to the therapist. It was like I was so programmed to think, go into session, like that's what's going to really help me. Like just don't go into like, you know, a marriage counselor. Like maybe Karen could help us, type of thing. But she doesn't have a license for that. She
Did
doesn't have a therapy license or like to be
right.
talking to my spouse and I and charge. She wanted to charge us 10 grand to do like whatever program she came up with, which made sense because it was 2 intensives for me, 5,000, 2 for him, and then we would work together to like fix our marriage. We did that on our own. Like we didn't need Karen to do it, but it was in that time where we're like, something's a little weird. She just keeps trying to, charge us for sessions and stuff. But my husband also was like, okay, maybe Steve is getting something from this. He didn't really know what was going on or what really the auditing was. He thought of her as like a life coach, not really like an auditor. I knew, but I didn't really want to tell him because it was just like everything was just really like, challenging times back then. But
So he would go with you. You guys would be together with like in the auditing room or at her
one,
house in the living room
one
or
I would go like separate. Like she lives like pretty close, like probably like 10-ish, 15 minutes from like where I am right now.
yeah.
So she was close. So I would just like
I'm
pop
really
up the
close to you
street type of
too.
thing. Yeah, we need to like come
We need to
together
go
and like
take
do
a
it. Yeah,
stroll.
let's do it. Yeah, let's go take a little walk. Go on video, take a little walk and talk.
She made a joke. I thought it was a joke, but it was a question. She said, "Does Karen still have naked nudes of her down the hallway to her bathroom or something like
Oh
that?"
my God, that's so funny. Yeah, I was talking to other ex-Scientologists about this before. Like she would have like photos of herself for like boudoir photos that she would like hang up like in her bathroom and stuff. It's like that's so weird. Like you're going to like, take a piss and then it's like you're like seeing her in like some like boudoir photo. It's just like she's a weird, odd character. But it got to the point where she did like the same sort of thing as like leaving Scientology. Like I'll tell you one more story in the middle about it, but same sort of thing. She tried to discredit me, she tried to attack me in the ex-Scientology community. But basically it got to the point where I was like, so low, I was depressed and everything, and I was, planning to kill myself. So again, I was careful in the beginning with Karen to say it or not, because I'm like, if I tell her directly that it's like I want to commit suicide, then again, I might not be eligible for auditing and just like regular Scientology. Like maybe this still could help me and get rid of these thoughts. But if I frame it as like really serious, like I didn't really know like how she would like take it. Like, am I ineligible for the sessions? Like, because I did have some benefit of the degree of feeling like I'm releasing my problems
You're
that
getting it
I
out.
never could talk to anyone about. Yeah. And then it was at
Right.
least like having that like
And it's so weird, but you feel
mom
like you're having like a
figure.
real auditing session.
Yeah, in like a weird way. Yeah, but the benefits never last anyways. It's not like the tech actually works. But I got like some like minor benefits. And then like as the months went on and stuff, and then I went back in a session with her and stuff, and I was getting these feelings and just like kill yourself type of thing. So I was still so stuck. I'm like, if Karen can't help me, if my own spouse hasn't been able to like fix me in some way, or just like because I'd confide in all these people and no one had an answer for me. I'm like, how do I get like out of this 50,000 of debt and this and this and that? Like I just felt like I was just in this like really challenging place, how to get out of it. And I keep having these thoughts of Scientology that I couldn't escape either. So I opened up to Karen on the day I was driving or flying to Vegas, actually, at that point, flying to Vegas to kill myself. I was going to jump off the balcony at the Cosmopolitan Hotel, like check in, like, and kill myself that way. So I'm telling Karen about this, just like fully directly, like, I'm going to kill myself. This is what I'm going to do. Oh no, honey, you can't go tell your husband, you can't go tell Jeff that you're going to go kill yourself, because then he's going to go call a 5150 hold, and then they're going to give you psych drugs. And then you're going to be in the hospital on a 3-day hold. And then, obviously you're going to be pumping you up with these drugs. And then you're not going to be able to get like the actual help you need that we're working on in session. Like you have to just hang it on, try to like, keep coming into session, paying for auditing. And we're going to just work on, what's like causing you to feel this way. So it was basically for Karen's benefit of like, oh no, like you're not going to go, get the real help you need. Like you can come to me, because maybe I would have gotten, I still try to wrap my head. Like, what did she want from that? Like if I got real help, I wouldn't want to go into session with her. Was she really just afraid I would get, psych meds that I might have honestly needed, obviously needed at that time? And then I couldn't get auditing with her. Like I just didn't really know like what was her main goal at that point. So I'm literally talking to her like on my way in Vegas to, go commit suicide at that point.
You're talking to her
And
on the phone,
uh-huh.
like driving?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Like going like from like
To
the
Vegas.
airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, she didn't contact my husband. She obviously knows who my husband is. She come to our house. She obviously has this number. Like never was like, you should either like, contact your spouse or I'll contact your spouse. Like, where are you going? Like no like safety measures of like a normal person would, any person I think would have some genuine understanding of what to do. Like you call 911 or you figure out where the person is. Are they safe? Do they have a plan? Do they have a weapon? Do they have drugs? Like what is it that's gonna, how could we help this person, right? Like how imminent is it? Is it just like suicidal thoughts that are just like daily, like negative, catastrophic thoughts? You know what I mean? Like what is it at that point? So, just like thinking about it, it's just like
Breathe through your
yeah,
beautiful
like,
nose.
I love it. like just
It's, you know what, you know what I like to think of when this stuff's happening, at least we're able to express it now. This whole time we've been like holding it, we've been having these feels for so long, so they're not going to just like empty out in one talk. So it's good to
yeah.
be able to just like feel it again and know like, wow, I'm glad I have control and I'm aware of what was going on now.
And plus, like, how much now further away I am from all of that, too. Like, I always have to remind myself whenever I talk about anything about this sort of stuff, it's like, you're safe
Yeah.
now. You're good.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not under
Am I
any of these people's
safe?
control. Like, everything is, like, not that right now. But it's just like, I got taken a second time from someone like that. Like, I literally could have lost my life, if I wasn't, saved by a casino worker.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, I don't know, like trying like to like not like I can't even think straight. I'm like mumbling over here, just kind of thinking back
You
on that
don't
because
need a
that's how
rush.
much. That's
You don't
how
need a
much.
rush. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like
So you're driving, you're going there,
mhm,
and you're going to Vegas, and you call her,
mhm.
and what happens?
So yeah, that was the talk when I was like actually in Vegas, like talking to her, like I'm in Las Vegas, like I know because I think I was supposed to go into session with her, and she was wondering, like I think I might still have the messages, like or maybe it's in my other video about it. I feel like it was like 2 or 3 days I was supposed to go into session with her, and I didn't go because obviously I was in a traumatic situation or a mental health crisis. The next day comes, I don't go into session with her, and I think she was trying to reach me, whatever. Then it just got to the point where I was just like, you know what, like final sort of like, look, this is what's going on. Like I'm in trauma. Like the auditing has not helped me. This is the position that I'm in. And, I was just at like my lowest at that point. So it was just like, I don't know what I wanted. Like I'm still like looking back on that now. And I'm like, was I telling her because I wanted her to save me? Did I want her to help me or to convince me not to do it? Like, I just don't know what was my mindset like at that time. It was just like, it's just like I maybe I block out so much of it too. Like it's just crazy to think about. Like that was what my instinct was to talk to my auditor that I was gonna kill myself at that
Mhm.
point, knowing that what was she like someone like that like wasn't gonna I don't know like I wanted her to because she was still an outside person. So maybe if she did get me help, like at least or maybe she would counsel me like and have a special program for me. I really don't know. Like I'm trying to like think about it now. Like
Right.
what was I trying to get from her of all people?
You're just
Because
coping
obviously
with
she was
what your mind was being already molded and into belief. Like these are my only options.
Mhm.
You're literally getting auditing from somebody who's you're leaving Scientology and then getting auditing.
Yeah.
That already is the con. That already is the fucked up fucking crime. That
And I
already is like it's
yeah.
so manipulative that you're literally calling Karen and being like, I'm fucking about to unalive myself, and not even the person who currently is accepting the money for this will stop
Mhm.
me or
Yeah.
will put me in a place saying, hey, before Scientology can work, you need to go physically get checked out mentally and all that. Like, not even in her
Mhm.
own Scientology mind. That to me is so disgusting. That to me is the reasonableness that Scientology has, where people and children and everybody unalives themselves at a certain point. They just have they're just being told lie, 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 and this is your only option. These are the only
Yeah.
ways that you can deal with this.
Yeah, and option
And
A
you're
isn't any
going
better
like,
than
wait,
option
I don't
B.
even, right. Why am I even calling Karen? Like, what am I doing? Like, maybe she's going to do the right thing and tell me to do the thing that I don't know. But I just feel that there's something and Karen should be telling me to do that.
And then why would
That's
you
what
even still
sucks.
take me into session again after that? Like there was a period of time, I think it was like a cooling off period from it, I think. And then I feel like I went back another intensive of auditing with her. So it was like still like it was never about me. It was never about help. It was just like he's in such a low point. He's so vulnerable and weak and just everything that I'm not now. Like I feel like I'm strong minded. I'm all these things now that I wasn't back then. But it was just like I was so broken. It was like no different than if you went up to like some home, this is a dramatic way to say it, but it was almost like if you're seeing a homeless person lying on the street on Hollywood Boulevard, they're clenching their last 20 bucks, and then you just grab it and say, oh, they're on drugs, they're high, they should have put it in their pocket. It's on
They'll hit
them.
rock bottom.
Yeah, it was almost like the reverse, but it was like I was the homeless person in that analogy, and like Karen just found an easy way to pluck it out of me, and
I'm
again,
so
putting it on
sorry.
credit cards, trying to, get the auditing in the same way I did with Scientology, thinking, oh, like this must be the better option because she'd be like, look, you're gonna go pay a good therapist if you had one, which it isn't good because she's like, it's gonna take 20 years and you're going and you're sitting in there and they don't know what to do, they don't know about the mind, like how I've studied the mind and blah blah blah. But then it was the same sort of thing. It's like you'd pay them 200 an hour or 100 an hour. It's like, no, I have health insurance. Like that's what you do. You pay with health insurance, right? So it was at that time where I eventually like stopped seeing her for the auditing. But I'm trying to think at what point. It must have been like at least 3 years later, I think, that I spoke up about it. It was around like 2020. I feel like right around the pandemic. I think I stopped talking to her for like a year or something like that. And I think I hear my dogs in the other room. I'm hearing like dog bells like going off on like their
That's
collar.
cute.
They're like walking around. I'm like, why do I hear like the dogs like collars like rumbling? But yeah, so I knew that everything that I started to like reason a little bit more about it. Like, why is she saying like, Scientology auditing, on the internet is a cult or, whatever, like it doesn't work. It's so bad and horrible, blah, blah, blah. But then she'd be willing to deliver it to someone and like scam me. Like clearly, like there's like that cognitive dissonance of like, it's a scam, but she's still doing it. So it's like, it like logically, but it's like, then why are you still delivering the
Which
Scientology? You know what
is
I mean?
literally Scientology. That is
Yeah.
all. That's Sea Org. That's people on staff. That's people when we go to protest who come out of the buildings. That's
Yeah.
Scientology.
Yeah.
They can see that somebody's saying something and showing them something, and they're just putting their TRs in and
Yeah.
as-ising it and just
Yeah.
seeing right through it and
Yeah.
saying, and then they're just sticking to what they have programmed in their mind
Yep. 100%.
on
And
all
then,
levels. Like this
yeah.
is just insane. That's the only way where it's like this is where we really have to heal ourselves and go in and say inward and be like, wow, I was auditing Steve and I was making him pay for all this and I still believed in Scientology and was still training and auditing and taking people's money
Yep.
until a year ago. If that's the case, Karen, you should be
Yep.
talking about that. But if you're
Yep.
not, then that makes sense why you wouldn't be.
Just some degree of accountability to it. Like when I made the videos where I had all the receipts and like I was speaking out about it, like just some degree of accountability of like, Steve, I'm sorry. Like that would have helped me like heal that part of myself back then, even if I didn't get the refund. I mean, of course it'd be nice to have that money, but it's just like any
They
sort of
should
accountability.
absolutely give you that money back. That is
Yep, I requested
disgusting.
it on PayPal. I tried over and over and over back then, and again, they just they went to the police about me. So that was a whole nother thing.
Why?
So then I
For
made my video.
harassing?
Yeah, basically. So I was making my videos. I made like 3 videos, but it wasn't like I was like making it in the vein of like everyone go and attack her, get me my money back, like show her who's boss. Like it wasn't like that type of a thing. It was just like, hey, thank God my air conditioner kicked on. I'm like, I'm sweating talking about this over here. I can feel my air conditioning kick on.
I'm sweating for you too. I'm like, oh my God, why am I sweating? I'm not even talking
Yeah.
about my trauma yet.
Yeah. So I make the videos and then it was after like the second or third video of me like just showing the screenshots about what happens and stuff like that. I was booted out of all the ex-Scientology like YouTube, like or not YouTube, the Facebook groups that they have, like SPs Are Us, Outer Banks, and all these like groups that were like popular at the time before like YouTube was a big thing. So I felt that loss, like, oh, I can't just be with other people like yourself or whomever. Not that you were on there at the time, but you know what I mean? Just like other like people who got me and
Well,
understood
okay,
me.
so was this also, did you know Doug around this time or no?
Yes, and he was also being kicked out of like those
Okay.
ex-Scientology groups and stuff like that too.
Okay.
I don't think I met him or anything at that point, but we were still kind of
But
like
I could
Facebook
see
friends or in like the
how
same
the
circle.
community sometimes, and even today, people think that, oh, because so and so is having an issue with me and blah, 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 that I don't like people all of a sudden because they like that person. And I'm like, that's not the fucking case at all, period.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
even sadly thought that about you. I thought that you didn't like me because of somebody that I might have had a friendship or a relationship with it. And,
I'm not
you know,
like that. I'm not
and
like
so,
that. But
and
that's a
then when
lot of
you
people are, though.
approached me, that was all gone. It was just, you were just
Yeah.
how you were. And I was like, wow, I want to talk to this guy more. Like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Why?
Exactly.
And what is this? And then I just started questioning all these things. What is the issue between Karen and all? Like, what happened? This is unbelievable. It's not
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause
And you've
people
been
don't.
talking about this as well on your channel.
Yeah, I
A
was talking
long
about it.
time. I mean, not a
Yeah,
long
like
time ago,
yeah,
but
but a
like,
couple of years ago, kind of type
yeah.
of thing. And then, but at the same time, like they went on their little control network at the time. So when I spoke up about them and stuff, and I knew that, you know, I was going full steam ahead, she was sending every critic, like I'm telling you, like hundreds of people are getting messages about me from her being like, don't watch the videos, don't believe this guy. Like he's, you know, just every sort of just like, I don't even really know exactly what was in those messages, but she was telling them all to disconnect from me. So like, how's that any different than Scientology? Like you're telling people you got to unfriend
No,
them on
that's
Facebook and
clearly
everything.
Scientology. Karen Delacour and Jeff Augustine. This is Laura FM talking to you
Yeah.
right now. That is clearly Scientology. You guys are literally hiding the fact that you were still doing and having people do and pay for Scientology auditing. Yet you can stand outside protesting saying, you know, Scientology's, you know, frauding and using the IRS or whatever. What the fuck are you talking about?
Mhm.
Or Scientology safe points the LAPD. No, you guys do. You guys
That's
are
what they
fucking
do.
doing that.
Yep.
And that's to cover up your shit. Stop fucking auditing people, Karen Delacour. And Jeff, you're protecting all of this shit, if not have a major role in it. I know
Well,
that because I
yeah.
met them. I just met them because somehow, yeah, we were somehow ended up being Facebook friends at some point or
Yeah.
whatever. And it's just because, oh, they were possibly people. In my eyes, I thought that Jeff was able to get like information pulled from the ranch, like child documents, like
Yeah.
maybe from old police, you know,
Yeah,
and
that's
there's
reasonable,
been
though.
there's been no like effort or anyways, what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I think maybe a little bit, but it's just like
Yeah, not to
what the
degree.
fuck? I don't want your help if you guys are literally fucking doing this. Like, be clear, be transparent about what you feel. If you feel that
Yep.
auditing works, then be transparent and say that so that the community knows. Don't keep accepting money
Yep.
and accepting memberships and birthday wishes and all this
Yep.
shit when you're
Mhm.
not being transparent and you're wondering why people are having issues with you and why you're not
100%.
feeling good either.
100%. Like, thank you for saying that. It's just like that's just 100%.
It's so
like,
gross. Scientology auditing is disgusting. It's a fucking mix of like complete mental abuse hypnotic methods that have been stolen from actual therapists that have had certified and reasons for knowing you can't do this and can't do this and like, and Scientology doesn't have that. They have no certificates other than the fucking certs that Karen Delacour is so happy to still have.
Yeah, exactly. And still has the Sea Org uniform and stuff. But Jeff was going into session too. Do you know how I know he was going into session with her? It was at the Thanksgiving dinner. We had like, I went over to her house, or maybe it was like a Christmas one. It was either holiday. So I go on the table and she's like, oh, honey, just like move, like clean up the table so that we could like set food and stuff up. Pre-clear folder, Jeffrey Augustine. I didn't like look into it or anything. I didn't feel like, obviously I wasn't gonna like peek into the
No, you
session
can't be
folders.
married to somebody and not have a deep thing into still what Scientology's beliefs are and doing. Those two know more than the outside world does, for sure, in terms of internal manipulative schemes and crimes of Scientology and who did what and how they did it and what they did. You know why they can't talk about all those details? Because they helped do it. They were there were connections, and that's how they know. This is why we give them the status that they have in the community, whatever that status is. I'm just saying we're expecting that they have knowledge or they have the ability to help people criminally if they're being fucking whatever. That was my idea of it. And right now it just seems like unless like as a year ago or something, they stopped auditing all of a sudden and they're like, oh yeah, we're totally against Scientology. They're not being fucking transparent, and that's not okay. It's not okay.
So then right around like when I made the videos and stuff too, like when the police called me, the detective who called me was like, oh, like we've been getting like these messages, like we just have to follow up with you because they keep contacting us over and over and over about this. So we're going to make the phone call to you just to let you know that they're contacting us about this. And maybe whatever you're doing on YouTube, you should maybe cease doing it because it's clearly, affecting them or something. And then they're saying basically when they contacted the detective that I was harassing an elderly person, that they're an elderly couple, that I'm making these harassing, threatening videos against this elderly person, and that they're, donating like their Kincaid paintings and stuff, that they're donors to our department. They're giving us gifts and checks and whatever. So they're supportive here, and they're wondering why we're not following up on this matter. So that's why we're contacting you, Steve, was the gist of the call. So because she donated a painting, and she had that on her like Twitter and stuff for a while, like her holding like just like Scientology, like holding up her like paintings with all
Gotta
the
have them
around
for
her.
the photos. Gotta have them for the
It's like only
media.
Scientology does that, like having
PR.
like their like photo. Yeah, they're like PR, but it's like the same Scientology PR. Like I wouldn't go take photos with the cops, you know what I mean? But it's like that was, like,
and
their,
not only that, like
whatever, just so
LAPD has
weird.
literally been the hardest in LA to actually get any sort of budging protest movement against Scientology.
Seriously.
And it's like they're so corrupt. And not only, they also have like their own little, the whole painted, the way to happiness fucking shit all in the LAPD little area. And it's just so gross. And it's like, why? Like, why are it's people who have connections that they've had for so long with the LAPD and all that, you can literally be unsafe pointing them from all the years that you've been using them, not to just now use it to be beneficial for you and what you're doing. And I'm talking about Karen and Jeff right now, but to be actually just open, transparent. I don't think they can. I think there's some financial shit going on, or there's some agreements or hugs or, oh, I love you, buddy. Or, hey, you helped us do that. And that needs to be fucking broken. It needs to be exposed. It doesn't even have to be broken. You can still like somebody that you did fucking crimes with, that you were being manipulated with in Scientology. That's fine. It's not fine, but you need to talk about it. You need to talk about it. And if you're not talking about it, it makes me feel that Karen Delicure is still a Scientologist, a current auditing Scientologist, and Jeff obviously knows all about that. And then Graham Barry lives in their house, or has his lawyer office running out of their house. Like, what's that about?
And he also was part of like people who like blocked me and all of that sort of stuff. But he lives there. But everyone who was going to her house in those years of like 2012 for I don't know exactly how many years. She used to make those videos interviewing people. They were all going in a session with her. I don't know if they'll admit it or not, but I know when I went there and there was
that's the issue. This is why the community is so hard to understand right now, guys, because there's still Scientology auditing going on, and still Scientology cover-ups going on in the community, this community. For people like even Mike Rinder did not say enough of what he needed to say, period. There's so many children that he could have addressed. Mike Rinder was on some high horse of celebrityism or whatever the fuck, that he couldn't literally sit down on any child's channel to talk about the kids and the fucking shit at the Int Ranch. Like, absolutely not. Like, why was that not number one priority? Your own son, Mike Rinder, Ben Rinder, was enslaved at that ranch. I just don't understand how that wasn't talked about in detail. Why doesn't Mike Rinder use all of his connections to Dee Dee Reed Carlson and the old adults that used to be at the fucking base that he could easily still, like, it's not just Mike Rinder. It's people like this is pissing me off. It's not triggering me. It's pissing me off, and it's valid. I'm allowed to be mad that there are people in this community that know way more and are participating. And if you don't start talking about it now, you're gonna get called out, and it's gonna be really shitty because you're literally doing it while we're all trying to heal. This has never happened before. So if you're gonna be lying and you're gonna be like twisting and making it not, you can literally say, it's so easy to be like, look, I had this frame of mind and I thought this would work. It's as simple as that. But where you get to a point where you're gonna unalive yourself because you're not getting fucking clarity, just
Yeah.
simple clarity about human mind processing of life, like, and then mixed with Scientology bullshit. Like, no, then it's not okay, Karen, that you were auditing Steve Mango and charging him when he was fucking suicidal. That is actually against Scientology policies and shit. So, like, what the fuck? What are you even doing with it anyways? Let alone doing it wrong, right? Squirrel.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? What's the intention? Are you still a Scientologist? Then say it. I'm still a Scientologist. Come to me if you need help trying to balance out your life, getting out of Scientology and into this world, whatever it is. But it needs to be called out for what it is. And for somebody who, from my perspective, I was in the Sea Org, Steve, and I was literally with her son scrubbing fucking toilets in the Fort Harrison Hotel after being demoted from CMO, and was on with him when I was on the EPF the first time I came to Flag. So it was like this big thing. And she's still auditing somebody fucking not even 10 years ago, 5 years ago. That's insanity. That should be illegal.
And think younger than her son at that time too. Her son was older than me, so she was doing it as someone who was even younger than her son. Oh, like
so she is auditing children. She's literally auditing people under 18, or she was.
I mean, I can't say. I mean, I was
I'm just
at least,
saying.
like, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I was younger than her son, and she was, doing this to me. You know what I mean? It just, that's why I've always.
Oh,
kind of been
okay,
like,
that's what you're
they
saying.
not?
I didn't know if you were.
Yeah, no,
I thought you were
just
saying
mean, like
she
I
was
was just like younger than him.
Okay, yeah, but that's just so, like, why is it okay for you to quote be so upset about your own son and RIP? I'm not taking that away. I'm just saying, where do you learn then, Karen? Where do you learn from all this? Where do we learn from this? Like,
but it was
you
like
can't just keep.
The bar was here. That's my point too about it. It's like the bar was like here, and she was willing to like, okay, like we're gonna take from somebody at that position, someone who's mentally depressed and suicidal, and like.
Well, then it just needs to be called out.
The bar just is at low. You know what I mean? And I did, and that's when all the critics were in front of me. All of them were blocking me. It was at the time where probably, I mean, definitely Mike Rinder blocked me because they had like a thing together. So when he was doing Leah's show, Karen, of course, got him to squash me for being on Leah's show because, again, like, we're not going to have Steve Mango like have any sort of like, she just wanted me like to have no voice in the critic world. Not gonna make sure he's not on Leah's show, make sure he doesn't have anybody watching his YouTube channel, that everyone blocks him. So then, if she does that, that was her thinking like, hey, we'll get people who have any sort of, like, I don't want to say clout in the critic world, but anyone who was a critic back in those days that they were cool with, to get rid of me, block me, unfriend me. So then no one would take me serious or listen to me or watch my channel or whatever. And that was also for her because she didn't want them to see my video and see all the receipts and the evidence in the 2.5 hour, 3-part series. Like, she didn't want any of that. So that's why I just always, like,
she was able to hear you for so many hours in auditing sessions being paid. Why couldn't she just watch your quick YouTube video on double speed? It would have only taken her 30 minutes.
Yeah, right. And it was just like a way to, run a Scientology smear campaign just against me back in those days. Like, let's disconnect from him, let's attack him, make up all these lies. But it was the same exact thing. And then for me, at that point, when I still was like really active in the ex-Scientology community and world, then I felt like all these people who I liked or who I talked to or had any sort of like, discussions with, whatever, then now they're getting rid of me and I'm experiencing disconnection again. Wow. Like only outside of Scientology, and all these people that are, basically going on TV or in the media being, Scientology's a cult, whatever. It's like, why are you like listening to this lady tell you to not talk to another critic? In the same way as, in Scientology, the ethics officer will say, oh, that person's an SP, you're not allowed to talk to them.
Yeah. It's
the same exact thing, only outside of Scientology. So that's why I was like so distant from the ex-Scientology space too, because I was just like, at that time when it was run by a lot of those like old timer critic types, the first gen elderly kind of group, I don't know what to call them, but like the older crowd, they were just running Scientology outside of Scientology. And then I felt like if I was involved in that, I was still like in the Scientology world, just like I was when I was getting auditing from, someone like Karen. So for me, it was like, I needed like a break from the ex-Scientology space because I just felt like it was just outside of Scientology. I was doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I had to like heal again
and you're
another
seeing
way.
people do Scientology and auditing still.
Yeah.
And you're not sure, like, oh, if somebody's walking into Karen or Jeff's house, they're okay with Scientology being done.
And all the critics, all the people over those years who didn't want to share my story, didn't want to acknowledge it, didn't want to talk about the video. It was just
honestly, even at the time, I heard stuff, but I was like, well, I had this thing that I was like, I don't not like Steve Mango, so I didn't want to like watch anything.
No,
I
no,
was
I
just
get
like,
that
eh.
people don't want to get involved in that, and that's, totally understandable. If that happened
Yeah.
to anyone else too, like now, I mean, I'm in a different place, but I would get it. Like there is some messy situation going on, and I'm not getting myself involved in it, right? Like I think that's normal for
You're
any
like,
person to see that.
I'm not now gonna go do trauma therapy for this
Yeah, for like another
X
situation.
community that I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, like no
Yeah, because
fucking
everyone
way.
has their own situations that go on, right? Or stuff that they're experiencing. So it was a whole nother thing. So then I had to get to a point where I was just like, you know what? Like even with YouTube, with all of this, like I want to be a critic. I like speaking out about Scientology. I've said a lot. I said most of what I need to say in general, like on my channel and stuff. But I'm like, I just needed a break to be like a normal person in the normal world and not have to like talk about it, not have to speak to like, experiencing this. I've had situations with different people, and just like I just want to be like talking to people that don't know anything about Scientology, I guess is the best way to put it. So I could just have a normal life, try to experience, because I didn't have that. I
Yeah.
basically got in,
No, I
left,
feel you.
I left my family. And then when I turned 18, got into Scientology, or a little bit
Yeah.
before that, got into Scientology.
Yeah.
So it was basically like my adult life was groomed by Scientology for those couple of years. And then I got out, and then I got back in with someone like Karen and experienced that for a period of years, or time of just someone that's basically just like a narcissist. At the end of the day, that's all we have to. She's a narcissist, and that explains her behavior, in my opinion, not by medical definition.
Well,
Maybe, I don't know.
Scientology
But
also creates narcissists, and there's a lot
yeah,
of narcissistic behaviors, including in myself, that I always want to work on and be like, okay, I don't want to be that person or what I
yeah,
was taught to be. I am not doing that. Like, I'm gonna ease
yeah,
up on that, and I'm gonna be doing this, and I'm gonna go over here and sprinkle a little love over here. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I ain't going back to this dark, nasty fucking like defend and hate. Like, no.
Yeah,
But I
and
do want to talk about everything. And this is so important, Steve, because so many people come out of even Scientology in this way, where they're like
yeah,
holding on to like when I left the Sea Org, I was holding on to Lisa Marie Presley and, oh, John Travolta, maybe I can nanny
mhm,
for him and that will save my life. And then I can get into the singing and
yeah,
whatever. Like,
mhm,
my only options I'm looking at were Grant Cardone and these fucking
yeah,
people that are
yeah,
just like all Scientology. And that's why I called this originally when I
mhm.
first started doing YouTube was
Oh,
the planet of Scientology.
oh my
Like,
God,
just
yeah.
like you're like looking out into the outside world and then you're back into your world.
Right, yeah,
Like,
a
oh,
hundred
these people,
percent.
oh, you're a Scientologist. You could just tell by somebody's language, by
Yeah,
like, oh, are you going on course? Oh, you're a Scientologist. Right away. You already know what they're
yeah.
saying, what they're talking about. Like, so, okay.
How long did it take you though, from like the period of like getting out? Like how long until you kind of felt like, for lack of a better word, like normal, like mentally, where like I'm not like, haunted in those sort of thoughts? Like did it take a long time, or were you like, okay, I'm so happy to be out? Like I know of people who've been like, I left and then I'm like so glad to be away and I'm living my life and I never look back and I never think about it and like whatever. And there's other people who are like really like haunted by it. So like where on the spectrum were you with it, and how long did it take till you kind of were like, okay, I could talk about it and not feel like I'm like losing my mind and I'm crazy?
I
Or is
still,
it still a work in
I'm
process?
still doing it right
Yeah, and
now,
there's nothing wrong with that. I'm
literally.
just wondering.
No, but I would say that it took me not even probably a little more than 10 years
At least,
to
right?
even begin to start asking myself, am I really a Scientologist? Like,
Mm.
I was even like doing it using their technology. I was being
Yeah,
like, am I a Scientologist? Am I thinking for myself? What's true for me is true for me. And then I was thinking, if I had, all the money in the world, would I go on course and would
yeah,
I spend it
yeah,
on that?
yeah,
Would
yeah.
I
That's
pay
it.
my freeloader debt? I was like wondering, like, do I think gay people are bad? I'm like, no, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, so I was
mhm,
really asking my question, like, and the definition of a Scientologist is somebody who uses and applies Scientology. So I was thinking, well,
yeah,
I guess, do I believe in this? I was like, well, I kind of do, like, stop when I'm reading if I don't know a word and look it up.
mhm. Yeah, like on
So I was
the
like, maybe I'm sort of a Scientologist there. So I was really being
yeah,
like truthful to myself and like asking, like, what are
or
the
on the
things?
Scientology spectrum, is it?
Yeah,
Not
I guess
clearing the
that's what I
word to
was
like going
doing
in for
without realizing it. Yeah, like how
it.
far am I and when and that was just the perspective of what I had. So like out
Yeah,
here I'm like, oh, there's a whole different chart here.
yeah, totally.
Um but that was one of the things yeah, I was like I would just remember being in my band with my best friend Jason, and Eli James was in like mentally in Scientology still at the
Yeah.
time, and we were there. He or they were kind of trying. I guess it was more Eli trying to get Jason Bradley, the keyboard player, on a course at the Los Feliz mission,
Oh
and
yeah.
which we went to
Fair.
because
Yeah.
Danny Masterson told me, oh, I can't, I can't be hanging out without ethics people, Megs, and it looks like,
Mm.
you've been smoking weed all of a
Yeah,
sudden.
of
And
all
I was
people,
like,
yeah.
and I was all like, dude, what? I was like at the Avalon at a Little Red Radio after
Yeah.
party.
Oh my
And
God.
he came, and then he was just like, yeah, he was like, hey, he was doing his Danny thing and was like, I'm going to pay for your session. I'm going to pay for an
Yeah.
interview for you at the Los Feliz mission.
Yeah, how generous. Yeah. I'm
So,
running. I'm
yeah,
running
I'm
there.
running.
Yeah, I
And
can't
so
wait.
part of that, I actually brought Jason Bradley in because he was kind of joking, the keyboard player in the band,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, come on, I'll do a course with you. And I was even telling him like, well, I have to kind of, finish, do my conditions. So I have
Mhm.
to like, so I'm able to like talk to my parents more and stuff.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
Bradley was like, with his heart, he was like, well, don't you want to talk to your family? Come on, whatever
Yeah.
is the weird
Mhm.
thing you guys got to do. Don't, like it was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. Like he was
Oh my God.
trying to help. So he ended up doing a course at the
Oh, he did.
mission while I was getting my ethics interview.
Yeah. And you're working on your
It was
ethics.
not a course.
Oh my
And
God. So what
then,
year was this though? What year?
oh my
How long
God,
are
it
we
was
talking? Probably like
Little Red Radio
2000.
Days. So
Mhm.
12 years ago ish.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Jason was doing a course, and then I remember being like, oh, good, part of my handling or whatever is I'll help him get through his course.
Yeah.
It was just stupid shit. And then it just made Danny look good. Like, oh, look, I got Megs to go to the mission. It was probably for one of his fucking ethics,
Yeah.
whatever, amends.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, yeah.
Trying
And
to
so
recover
then,
someone and bring someone back. And oh yes, we recovered her. Hip hip hooray.
yeah. And
That
look
type
at,
of
and
thing.
now we
Mhm.
can say this band is a Scientology band.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Because, we already got Jason
Yeah.
Spallino, who was in the cadet org. And then, you got me, and then Eli, who was a drummer. His dad was in Scientology. His mom, like, it was all Scientology based. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Bless you.
thank you. Okay, so back to whatever. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, there's no room for help. And so Karen Delacure and Jeff Augustine, yes, you guys definitely were sources for people who were leaving Scientology or the Sea Org. They could find some sort of comfort in, or like understanding or whatever, whether you were using them for money or not. I get that. Like, I don't get the money part. I do
Yeah.
understand though that you knew the structure of people leaving and where their mental state was at,
Yeah.
and knowing that somebody, like you just telling me that, I'm like, hell the fuck, Karen, how the fuck dare you? What the fuck? And why are you not talking about this? Why are you being hush hush? Why do you have so much time to promote police things and all these things and whatever, and not talk about the gruesome nitty gritty shit? Talk about it. We're fucking bored of anything else.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's been real accountability taken, like having.
Well, hopefully
hasn't
this will
told all,
help.
but-
Maybe this
No,
will
I-
help.
I
Maybe
hope
this will
so,
kick him in
yeah.
the butt and it will start. I don't know.
And you know what? Even if it doesn't, I made mental peace with it on my own.
Good.
You know what I mean? To just
Yeah,
be like, that was
that's the
that,
absolute
and
most
you learn a
important.
big lesson type of thing, But yeah, even for me, like I was only in a couple years, and just like they indoctrinate you to such a degree that all your thoughts are just like connected to that one thing. Like Scientology, like just I don't even know how to describe it to people. It just
I can't either.
Yeah,
The
it's like, I don't
planet
know
of
how to-
Scientology, you're like, oh, and then I can do this, and maybe I can do, like, oh, I could get
Because
this
it's like you
job,
have
and then
a
I could work
thought,
with
and then it
this.
automatically it's just like it links to something else that tells you no, like okay, like maybe I should do therapy. No, boom, and it's like the next thoughts come in. It's bad. It's this. Is this? Psychiatrists have been brainwashing us, and they've been buying media to implant us by watching psychiatric commercials, and they're going to put in a message. And it just whatever it is, like just like the brainwashing thoughts, and then
Yeah.
it goes to that. Then you go into panic and fear, and then you don't get the therapy, for example, or whatever. Or you think, like,
Literally.
okay, I have to communicate this way. Cause, distance, effect is caused by intention, attention, and duplication. Like you just have like, and see, like I could say it just like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just like there's
yeah.
just those type of things over
Cause
and over
something,
and over
duplication,
about
and
everything.
effect. Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
anything
Start,
about
change, stop, survival.
Mhm.
Just the whole, yeah.
And it just took years and years and years. And to
So
the point
that's
where I
one of
just
my
do not think
questions.
of it.
What did you do what were, I guess, one of my personal, sorry, I have allergies, guys.
Yeah.
What were some of your, what was the thing you found that, or was it not just one thing, but what was some, I don't know, what was the thing you found that took you out of the bubble aspect or the headspace of Scientology?
While I was still like coming out of Scientology, or like years later, that was like
Yeah.
the recovery sort of stuff.
Well, that's a good answer
Because, yeah,
already.
there's kind
But
of
that's a good
both.
answer already.
Yeah,
So
it's kind
you
of
so
both.
you leave Scientology,
Yeah.
like basically they kick you out. What is it? What happened when you said I'm out?
Yeah. So I basically at first was like, you know what? I'm not going to have like a big public like exit type of thing. I'm just not going to go back. That was to me, I knew that they would try to work on me and then I'd have to go into session, or they're going to take me down to ethics, or they're going to try to, do some, whatever the fuck onto me. Excuse my language. But, I ended up getting to a point where I said, I can't even go back because I'm going to be too influenced by them. That
Oh,
was my
God.
thinking, because I was still
Okay.
kind of too malleable. Like I was obviously listening to my spouse of like, okay, Scientology's a cult and they did all these bad things, and just like kind of like trying to like wake me up to a lot of it. And I was starting to do some online research and stuff, but I knew that if I went back, then I was still too much in like a low headspace, I think, to the degree of like, they're just going to pull me back in. Obviously, you hear kind of like how my mindset was. I was just easily influenced because I was struggling. I was trying to be this actor and it wasn't working out for me. And I just had like all these different things that were like, I was crashing and burning in every area of my life. Like my career wasn't working out. My personal relationships weren't working out. And I have lots of friends here, like just outside of Scientology, that is. So it was just like everything was like surrounding Scientology at that time. And I wanted to get out, and I felt so controlled, and I felt just like shackled under, just all my finances were a mess from Scientology. So I just was like, you know what? I have to just like make a clear break. But again, they're calling me over and over and over, like 100 calls a day easily. So then my husband would answer the phone in different voices to try to get them to stop calling. Like he'd talk, and I don't want to say anything to like cancel it, but he'd do like an accent to try to make himself sound different. Let's put it like that. Like he'd do all these different voices, and he'd pretend he's like, the maid answering the phone. He'd pretend he's like some other like telemarketer speaking Spanish answering my phone. Being like, no, no hablo inglés, Esteban is not here. Like that type of thing. You know what I mean? Like just trying to get them to be like, okay, maybe we have the wrong number. And so it's not going to work. They're just going to keep calling me, or they're going to show up to my apartment or whatever. Right. So especially when I first started speaking out, they would try to intimidate me and stuff like that in that way. And it didn't make any difference. I was still already like publicly on YouTube at that point. So it was like, I would just film them. They would know that at that point. So they kind of like learned their lesson. Like it's just going to be like what Marty Rothbun would do. He would film them acting crazy, showing up at their house. So they were kind of like at a point they like kind of like slow down with that sort of thing. But yeah, I just made a break for it and then made my YouTube video. And I said, I didn't want them to have any influence about me over this. I don't want them. I want like them knowing I'm an ex-Scientology to be the biggest like fu ever, is like me speaking out, because we know how much like that's like the biggest like one of the biggest sins in Scientology is to speak up. You learn early on in these courses, like never talk to a journalist, do no press, like never speak about like anything involving Scientology. So doing that, I'm like, oh good, it kind of like is like a badass kind of type of thing. Like I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna shock like the airwaves more or less, and like speak out about them. And obviously it started like picking up steam really quickly from that point. And they fair game me and that type of thing, and they killed my dog, and that was a whole thing. And I'm glancing over it because that's another stressful thing. But that was basically it's on my YouTube channel as well, like the whole full story.
Yes,
about long,
please, everybody. Steven has a YouTube channel. Literally has more followers than I do. So he's literally put so much time in videos and going through all this fucking hell of like describing the trauma. I'm just like, that's one thing I'm working on. I'm like less alcohol, Laura, and more trauma talking, because it's so dreadful. It's like, ugh. But once we get in it, it starts to like sift through, and and it feels so much better. So,
and it's good when you're helping other people too, and you're speaking up, and even if they're like not in Scientology, they're like, oh, I was in some sort of relationship or something else, and it helps people at the end of the day.
And even for you, like, and for people who are also in other Scientology friendships and relationships, if you're feeling stuck or like being controlled by some couple or people that are, were higher execs or something in Scientology, that doesn't fucking exist in reality. So nobody's better or higher than anybody in this ex-Scientology community whatsoever.
In terms of ranking and stuff.
Not at all. This ain't a fucking organization board. Not at all.
Yeah, but they love to do that to a lot of people too. Like, oh, we were here, we were on this show, or we did that. It's like we all were a victim, or even like people like Karen and stuff too. They would be like, well, you were only public, or you were only this, or that's like, even if you're public, the whole point of Scientology is to run the brainwashing program onto the public person. So yes, of course it's worse to live and work for Scientology and everything that you went through too. And it's like, yes, but we're not ranking trauma here. Like it could
No,
be
it's
just as
literally the
traumatic in a
same
different way.
feeling.
Yeah.
Correct. It's the same feeling whether, your mother gave you a hug or didn't. You're
Yeah.
still going to feel like, oh, she gave me a hug and then had to leave. There's
Yeah.
still the resentment and the neglect.
You
That
still feel
is
the
the
loss. You still,
trauma.
yep,
Right.
you still go through the same auditing, the same sort of programs and that sort of stuff, right? So it's just like
Literally
it's
the
that sort of
same.
thing. And it took so long until I was able to finally go to I went to a cult therapy group, and they had other ex-Scientologists and stuff there. Again,
Okay.
are obviously supposed to say who's in those type of groups, but that also turned kind of weird and toxic and stuff. It only until I went to a therapist that didn't have to do with Scientology related stuff, that it wasn't weird, where it was
Did you feel it was hard to talk to the new therapist about all the Scientology stuff? I feel like that's been a hard thing for me, is to find a therapist that I can
get it
catch them
in that
up with
way.
everything, and I'm not
Yeah.
spending my fucking time explaining shit to them, because that's really
Yeah.
upsetting.
Yeah. It took a while, I think, to find the right match. I found a therapist I liked. I saw her for the last 2 years. I stopped seeing her a couple of months ago. It was cash only. I couldn't afford just to keep spending $150 a week,
That's what I've been
600 a
doing.
month.
Yeah.
It's
Adds
insane.
up.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and I got to a point where I feel pretty mentally pretty calm and fine with not needing a weekly session right now. I've just been kind of doing my thing, and but there's times I really wish I had a good therapist that took insurance without having to pay so much money. But yeah, it took a while to have to be okay, and this is why this happens, which happens, I have to piece the puzzles together so they understand even how to address it. Because they'll be you didn't live there, you didn't work there, why are you still going back? And it's okay, but this is how it works, and this is the program that you're on, and you just can't walk out the door, and they're going to show up to the house, and they're going to send a registrar because they want more money. And then why do you give the money? Because I'm trying to go up the bridge, and I'm trying to get my spiritual free, and then you're just trying to spend an hour, and then boom, it goes by that 1 hour, okay, see you next week, and then you're triggered,
Literally.
and then
Oh
it's
my
just
God.
I have to wait another week, and then I'm explaining it again, and
And
then
and
they don't
again,
get it.
auditing is hypnotic. It's literally MK Ultra abusive fucking. And so your
Mhm.
your 1 hour will feel like 5 seconds sometimes,
Mhm.
because you're
Yeah.
in some hypnotic state. That's how it felt for me. I was like, oh, I was just in sec checking for 10 hours today.
And it's
And
just
I just
insane.
didn't
Yeah.
feel it. I was just repeating all the overts at the ranch, all everything, just in a different world. It's so fucked up. It's
See, when people
really.
say, "Oh no, the people that are in, they're so good, they don't know, they're also victims and stuff." Yes, I understand that, but I think it's interesting how they know. After you have sessions like that, that's when they're asking you for money. It's only in those very mind controlled, malleable sort of position. That's when they would be asking me for the money.
And
Was
that's
after those
and to
sessions and
me,
stuff,
it
always.
always.
So
And
they
to
know
me,
what they're
it's
doing.
why would you ever even want somebody to come in Scientology to a point where they're like, oh, if you don't want to, then you could just leave. But why get them started on a course when you know that will, even if it helps them and they don't leave, it leads them into the
Yeah.
next hypnotic step. The
Yeah.
next, this is how you do it. And when you repeat something that doesn't seem hard, inhumane, when you repeat it 20 times over and over, you're going to start it's just so it's so manipulative and makes people so reasonable that they're literally committing actions, auditing people, pretending that they're fighting against Scientology's abuses, Scientology auditing abuses, and they're literally doing the abuse themselves still.
Yeah.
To me, that's the abuse. They still have shit in their minds that they are fucking
And you have to go
determined.
every day, you guys. Sorry to cut you off. That's how they keep you under that spell. You
Yeah,
go every day for
every
that
day.
2.5
That's
hour
what I'm
course,
saying. The
minimum.
course is the hypnotic
Yep.
thing to get you into the org. You have to go into the org. You must do it at the org.
And if you
That
don't
is the
show
whole
up,
point. If you
yep,
don't
and if
show up, you're going to
in trouble.
ethics.
Yep. And so what's the better thing? For me, it was always like, just go for the 2.5 hours, shut up, just go in the
And
course.
put your face down.
Yep, and try not to nod off in the course and start falling asleep because, oh, then I have a misunderstood word, and then they're gonna put me on the cans, and then they're gonna go, what is the definition? I hated word clearing, every word over. And what's the definition of this? Make a sentence with this. Now do
10,
a demo of the. It's like the
10
most like
sentences.
yeah, and then you're over here like the dog ran across the street because, and then you're like trying to like find ways to like add it, and then just programming you over and over every single Leah Remini one every day. It's like even when you're a celebrity, you're still going every day.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they need to keep you under that. Because I don't know if you noticed that, like it's different because I was public, but it's like if you ever had a couple of days where you weren't there, it's like, oh, like then you have a little bit more time to think. They don't want you to think. They want you on those courses all day, all night. You go to sleep, you come back, and you're on course again.
They want
You
it
don't have
as part of
time
your
to, like,
schedule. They want
yeah,
it
but you
as
don't
part
even
of
have,
your.
yeah, you don't
You
even have
can't.
time to think about it.
You can't disassociate. You can't, and
Yeah.
that's the whole point. Is they're keeping you in this associated state. They're keeping you in. That is Scientology. That's why it's like for me, and I'm getting better at this. But when I protest, sometimes, yeah, I am loud all the time. But I am very much at certain people in a certain situation. I'm like, no, you need to be getting your TRs in then. And people think, oh, she's loud, and I'm like, no. But there's a point where if
Yeah.
they even feel that to get them angry
Yeah.
or whatever it is, means that they are finally going like they're having a reaction to something
true.
that they aren't trained to be able to react to or
Yeah.
to respond to. So I just think that like however you can do it, great, because at this point you're literally they're in a hypnotic spell. So how are you going to snap
Yep.
them out of that? There's
Yep.
just no way without like being like this is the fucking truth. You're gonna either see it or not,
Yeah,
play with
right.
it or not, question it or not.
And I used to go out too when I would protest. I would go out like years, obviously, before TikTok, any of that, like maybe like 2016 or 2017. There wasn't even like live streaming to do. So I'd bring out like my camera and stuff like that. But again, I was alone. No one wanted to protest Scientology with me. They're like, oh, that's a cult. That's weird. I'd be out there alone at like the testing center on Hollywood Boulevard. And they assaulted me too. When I was out there, I was holding my
Wow.
sign and I was standing like, I guess like the way it would be like this. The building would be here. So then like the sewer guy was coming around the corner in like my blind spot and like body checked me. And again, I have health issues and like chronic pain and other problems. And then like body checked my whole like left side into the building. But again, he went inside and all I knew was he was like some older guy. So I called the police, I explained like what he looked like and stuff. The guy I think was like 65. They found his name. His name was like John Joseph Lavoie and he was 64 or something at that time. Then he went and body checked. It's just like, yeah, he
What
was
are
an
you
old guy,
doing?
but I was in a very like, neutral stance. I'm holding a sign. It's not like I was braced for impact, like someone who's going to come. Like I didn't see the guy, like, running
No,
at me
and
or
when a
something.
C
He's around
or
the corner.
when these Sea Org members are mad or these dedicated Scientologists are mad, they use force with their body. Their intent and their anger is with them when they're doing this. Some guy just did that like 2 weeks ago to me on L. Ron Hubbard way. And he
Really?
was like, just came up and boom, slammed his whole
No
body on my
way.
face. And I was like, what the fuck are you doing, you fucking psycho? Get the fuck off me. That's
my goodness.
illegal.
Was it staff or was it like just a Scientology,
A
like public?
hardcore Scientologist, like a public, who goes and stays at the blue building in the
Did
little
you get it on
apartment.
camera? Were you
Yeah,
filming?
yeah.
Oh, I have to see because I didn't know that happened. Did you call
It's
the
just
police to be like,
I
okay,
don't
like,
know
you
his
get that in?
name.
Yeah, we don't
No,
even
and
know.
we were
Yeah.
I was in the middle of like just a quick I was like boom 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 closing them down,
Yeah.
da da da, and it was just like wow, even within 15 minutes this guy it's somebody who's always coming by and always being sent out. Oh, and they try to send out the elderly now so that the elderly get
Yeah.
they have a higher chance of winning something like that in court because they're elderly. It's so manipulative. It's
Yeah.
fucking so manipulative.
Yeah, because now that they have like way more people going out and protesting, just in general, the last couple of years, like I don't think they ever expected like so many people would start like coming into the
No.
movement who like weren't even ever in. Like they just got like a TikTok video on their feed and they're like, all right, like we'll go
Yeah.
out. You see so many people that would go out on Hollywood Boulevard and stuff like that. But is there any other protests coming up or anything? Do you know of any like things happening in the next couple weeks, or are you going out at all, or
I
what's
randomly
happening?
do. I've been
Mhm.
very much focusing on things like internally myself that I'm dealing with and like writing out my FBI reports, and it's just all of it is bringing up my child trauma. So I've
Yeah.
been making sure I've been keeping a balance
Yeah,
of not
exactly.
like doing that and then going out and protesting and like
Yeah.
sending all my anger out to like the elderly getting off the bus or something.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. I
So
think
I'm
it's
just
always good for any ex-Scientologist to have like a period of their life where like, yes, be an activist, do your thing, but also like take care of your own inner self and realize like you can't just be focused on that 24/7. You know what I mean? Like just always thinking about like I didn't get into Scientology to leave to then think about Scientology 24/7. If I wanted to think about Scientology all day and night, I would just be a Scientologist. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I had to realize, even though I still want to be out there, I still like to. That's why I went out a few weeks ago with you guys. Like, I wanted to be a part of it. But for me, at least, I'm not telling anyone, don't go out, don't do it, don't speak out or be on YouTube. But like for me, like for my happiness, like I think anyone who used to watch me back in the day and saw what I was like then, like, 6 years ago, 5 years ago to now, to seeing what my life is, I'm a different person. Like I'm just so much more chill. Like I'm not just always like that. You know what I mean? Like I was always just like,
high
stimulated in
sprung.
the trauma. Yeah. And just high strung.
Yeah,
And
that's
just always
literally
talking
what
about
my
it.
doctor was telling me. I need to work on he was like, you're in fight or flight mode all the time. He's
And
like, you need to,
what's their
like,
recommendation for that though? Do they tell you like to do
he's
something
doing
specific?
I have things that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. One day at a time.
Yeah, it's a journey.
I need
Right?
to get like
It's a journey.
supplements and GABA for good, like little things here and there. But I'm
Yeah.
also doing things like meditation in the mornings and the evenings. I fall asleep like that with certain
Oh, good.
meditation videos.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was gonna ask you certain things, but I was gonna ask you what are some what are some of the therapies or not therapeutic things that you tried or did that didn't work, or
Ooh,
obviously
that's a good question.
doing that group thing you said didn't.
Yeah,
I have a question though.
Yeah.
Before you answer, I have felt that certain things annoyed me, or I was like, I didn't need that, or fuck, that was fucking annoying. But then later, I'd be like, oh, well, they did say that in this thing, and that's kind of true. So, like, even though maybe I feel that, like, oh, I went to this group and it fucking didn't help, it also did give me a different perspective of some sort. Like, oh, wow, it gave me a more clearer version of how culty Scientology is, or like what a cult group really looks like, even if it's like this or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really good question because there's probably been a lot over the years. Obviously,
I'm just trying to get some quick advice to jump ahead of all of the mistakes.
I wish I had a good magical answer for that. Oh my god, right? I would tell you right away if it was like this is the one thing to do, but yeah, so obviously independent Scientology is not it. But
okay, let's make that alert the media. Alert the
Yeah.
media.
That's like
Stephen Mango agrees that independent Scientology and
not
any
the answer.
Scientology is not the answer.
Yeah, I had to learn the hard way, I guess, with that one, right?
It's fucked up.
So yeah, therapy, but again, it's like for me, like therapy's been hit or miss. Like I've had like therapists I liked or had like good insights, not even just about Scientology stuff, just in general about my life. And then others that like we would do like therapy on like Zoom and stuff, and then they're like over
Did you
here
like
and
did
they're
you
like
like
this, and
that?
they're
How did you
typing.
feel when you first went on your first like Zoom? Like what were you feeling like, oh good, I'm gonna go in to see if this can really help me, or were you nervous like, oh, is this gonna be culty?
In the beginning, I think I was a little bit more like, gotta like feel this out a little bit, like you're just not sure, like who's this guy or woman or whatever, and are they gonna be able to get through to me? Like my complex trauma, like they're not gonna be able to like understand that. Then I'm like, you know what? I'm not that I'm not unique, but like I'm not so like I'm so traumatized in such a way. Like I had to be willing to accept the help, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like this person could at least
that's what
give
I'm
me
going into it,
something,
like.
Like not being like
I'm not sure, but I also
something.
know that I can't be taken advantage of. I'm not going to be sucked into a group where I can't say no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like you're safe
or disagree.
And, like, and obviously do your research of who the person is and stuff like that. Good and bad. But I think some therapies helps. But I think even just for me, like just I read a lot, so I'm just like someone who's just like online. Like if I'm
taking
having
notes.
Yeah, so like if I'm always someone like even ChatGPT now is really good for. It sounds bad for therapy, but it's like just talking it like about my day. Like I could just be like, okay, I'm having a lot of stress right now because I'm in this situation, or what would you do? And I've even been like, give a dissertation or like an essay about the life of Steve Mango and the problems I'm having and what I should do. Like just giving it like a prompt to give me back like advice. Like, hey, we were seeing like when because I talk to AI, so it's just like it'll tell me and say like you're really just like needing more assistance with your whatever it could be. I'm just making it up, impulse control, which isn't really my thing, but I'm just saying like whatever it is. Then I'm like, oh, I'm more aware of that. But I'll read like psychology stuff, like if I'm having a lot of depression or whatever. So I'm just like Googling, but of course getting good sourced information. So for me, just kind of reading, I'm like, okay, yeah, like this is, kind of what I need to be more like aware of in my life. But, I tried some meditation stuff over the years. It's okay. Like I just haven't felt like that needs to be part of my like daily sort of like therapy type of stuff. For me, honestly, like I said, the number one way that I've kind of helped myself from Scientology is to turn off like YouTube, turn off the videos, turn off all of it. And I know it sounds bad. Like I said, it doesn't mean I don't want to be a critic, but that's why people don't see me. I'm like, I'm happy. Like I don't need to like disturb my inner peace today. Like, you know what I mean? Like I like to
Yeah.
do it on occasion, that like I give myself little bits of it. Like I'll go to the protest when I felt like I had my like, okay, I said what I wanted to say, I held my sign, whatever. Good, now I can go. I felt like I did my part that day, you know, but not to the point where I'm like I'm in like
Right.
rage or
And
something.
I
Like I
know how
can't.
that feels. And that's my issue
And
is
then I put pressure on myself to be like, I have to make videos. I have this audience who's helped me, who I love. There's people who've been watching me for 10 years. Like, I feel like I owe it to them, like to let them know how I'm doing, or I'm going to make a video and I have this responsibility. I know about Scientology, so I have to expose it. And I have to say these different things. I have to go on video and then I'm making something. And then it's just stirring up my inner world. So for me, like, I know like YouTube's a job for a lot of people too. And it's good to make videos, but it gets to a point, at least for me, like I'm way too sensitive a person. I'm an empath. I feel everything. I could feel anything that you tell me. Like I take that in. So if I know I'm that way, I can't put myself in a position where every single day then. So it's like taking doses
yeah.
of like being a critic or doing this or anything. Like the happiest
And
I've been is like turning off YouTube and just living my life and not being like, you know, coming up with like interests outside of it. Because it was my
right.
job for a while. I was making money, you know, however much money, you know, in the like peak of it. And then I'm like, well, no one, not that no one would want to watch me, but like, this is why people want to watch me and make other channels about other stuff. But people wanted to hear me talk about Scientology. So then I felt trapped. Like now my income is dependent if I talk about it, you
Talking
know,
about your
obviously, and I
trauma
have to
and
talk about
right.
it. And I always
Right.
tell people that I'm like, it's just like an abusive marriage.
So
Could you imagine if you're in an
exhausting.
abusive marriage and then like say my abusive partner's name is Patrick, then I make a YouTube channel called Escaping Patrick, and every day I go on camera and go, this is what Patrick did to me in our marriage, day one. And then I have to come on camera the next day and answer questions about him. We're doing a Q&A and talking about Patrick and how he abused me. Like every day. When any normal person who had to do that and sit on camera and talk about their abuser would just go crazy at
No,
some point.
no,
Like
it's
you
fucking
can't. And
insane.
Scientology just plugged that word in, and that was exactly what it was. So it was just like being away from it. Long-winded way of just saying I turned off my computer and I was happy, but that's literally what I had to do.
Yeah,
But it's a
and
process. You know, it's a
a lot of
process.
people have had to do that, and then some people come back and they're good, and then some people come back for a little, and then they never come back again.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
we've
it's
seen that over
totally
the years,
fine.
right? People that kind of come in and out, and you're like, where did so and so go? And then you just don't hear from people for a while or whomever, you know. And you're like, oh yeah, Jason Begay, he was like exposing Scientology. What happened to him? You know, obviously he's an actor, but you know, it's like, oh,
No,
interesting. You
but
know,
so
that comes in.
what? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, it's like
they
Jason,
found some sort
it's
of
still
peace.
happening. It's still happening, Begay.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
I mean
right.
not. No, I'm glad.
Yeah,
We're
not to knock
thankful
him, but
for.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're thankful for you, Begay.
Oh my God,
But
that's
yeah,
great.
I
Yeah.
love this. This is fucking so clarifying. I love just getting like answers and being like, what happened with this? How do you feel about this?
And it's good to
Um,
kind of like, you know, some people they may be like, oh, they want to do yoga, they want to do something like what works for me may not even be what is like your like therapy of like healing things. You know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
don't just say like, oh, I shouldn't be on YouTube because he found peace that way or something. It's just like you never know. Like
yeah,
some people, it's like medication or like whatever it is, you know, CBD. Like it could be anything that just is like
yeah,
that's what relaxes people. That's their jam. Like that's what it
yeah.
should be. You
And
know?
I feel that yeah, everybody, I always say this, has their own fingerprint and their own chemicals and stuff. So it's like
Yeah.
it's silly to judge or to like critique somebody even from your own viewpoint
Yeah.
on how they should be. It should be an invite for somebody if they're susceptible to wanting to hear what you have to say. Other than that, it's like
Yeah.
useless to fucking say something about somebody's trauma or what they're going through if it's
Hmm.
not gonna if literally if it doesn't come with like
Yeah.
we've got you, we've got your, we're here to support you. It's like no, this it's
Hmm.
completely like no, it's so fucking hard to describe. It's so hard to describe.
Yeah.
It's
And
so hard to describe the feeling even showing up for a quick 15-minute thing
yeah.
and that even just
Yeah.
going like the decision, oh, should I swing by? Brr, brr, trauma. Brr. Like
Yeah.
literally it's like, ah, okay, yeah, it started. All right, let's go and just do it
Yeah.
quick and then bounce out. Don't do this very long. But like
Yeah. It's crazy just driving by, like just living in LA and driving down the street. I'm walking past the media productions because I go to the coffee
Yeah.
place that's like right by Scientology Media Productions, and it's just like every day there's like little like reminders. But it's gotten to a point where it's not bad anymore. Like, oh, people used to tell me drive around Big Blue, like don't go so close. I'm like, I'm not hiding in my own city from like driving by, like that gives them power. But for a while in the beginning, it was scary of being like, okay, they're gonna like try to do something to me because I'm speaking out and they're so close and that sort of thing. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, it's been a journey. And I think because I was a critic for the last 13 years, 12, 13 years, it's been a while. So, you know, I've said a lot, but I'm still here at the end of the day. But, you know, I'm just taking it more like easy. But yeah, you know, there's been, you know, lots of ups and downs in this ex-Scientology world. And, you know, just like looking at the comments too, when people are talking about Doug and stuff like that, like just, I just feel so sad about that, you know? Were you
Yeah.
friends with him? Like, did you know him, or what
He
was your
reached
like
out
Doug
to me to
situation?
do a video and talk about the Over the Rainbow thing because
Oh,
he
right,
had
right.
done talked about it, and I was like, of course. Like I
Yeah.
was like, but I had no idea about like YouTube. I didn't understand that it was like a YouTube. I don't know. It was
Oh,
weird
right, right, right.
until later. I was like, oh, when I was watching his channel, and then I was
Yeah.
doing mine, and oh, Doug. And then I was watching, and I was like, okay, cool, yeah, you know.
Mhm.
And then he passed away. It was literally so
Mhm.
sudden.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the place where I was dealing with like health stuff around that time, and then there was another ex-Scientologist. Well, I'll tell you about it privately, but then he tries to blame me about it, trying to be like, oh, like you could have went out and try to like look for Doug when he was missing. My whole thing about this is like LA has, and you know this, millions and millions of people. I met Doug at a protest and we were friends. We text, we called each other, that sort of thing. So we were friends, but it's not like I ever went to his house or apartment or wherever he lived. I didn't know where he lived. I couldn't even
Mm-hmm.
tell you. I think it was like maybe Studio City. It could have been Burbank. Am I supposed to go in my car and just drive around Burbank or Studio City, just like endlessly looking for someone who's like in his apartment? I'm supposed to somehow, even when they had a couple addresses that it could have been for him, I'm supposed to then somehow go, okay, let me start going by all these places. They're going to have a front gate, and I'm supposed to get in and somehow find which door. And then if it did happen to be that he passed away, I'm supposed to be the one who finds the
No,
body
this is
of all
not,
people.
no,
His
this is not your responsibility. And
Yeah,
also, whoever told you that doesn't, it's, I feel like it does come from care. Like people are like, oh my
of
God, they're
course.
worried. But again, we have, like I just said, we all have
Yeah,
our own fingerprints and shit going on in our heads that,
yeah,
no, actually, it might have not been good to send Stephen Mango out if he was going through his own fucking shit at the time. People
yeah,
like that could have been a horrible thing. Maybe that would have affected you in some way, and then boom, you weren't ever going to be
yeah,
okay. Like,
yeah. I
no.
couldn't have been the
To,
one to
to
be in that
tell
position to
people what
find
they
him like
should
that.
or shouldn't have done, and I'm sorry that you even feel regret or you're even having to bring that up. That's so disgusting. That's
Yeah,
like,
because then you think about it, you're like, oh, could I? He was already gone at that point. Like it was basically like he missed a live stream on a Sunday. It was maybe by that point a day or two later, and there was like live streams about him and stuff like that. And then it was like, okay, maybe you should drive by or you should try to look for him. And I was already going through, I have tumors in my spine, all this stuff, and I was already in chronic pain and I'm dealing with my own battles in my own body and stuff like that. And then I'm supposed to get in my car and drive around because he missed a live stream. It's not like I thought like,
yeah,
oh,
I
like
know.
my
I was
mind was like, these people are being parasocial. They're
right,
followers on YouTube. I
right.
mean, I hate to say it because people do support us a lot, but it's like a lot of the times they don't know what's going on with any of us, right? So I
Or
felt
what's
like it
going
was just
on in the city or whatever.
yeah, it's like he missed a live stream. He could have overslept. He could be working. Could have been any number of stuff. It's not like his behavior to miss a live stream. Okay, now looking back, I didn't know all the pictures of how this all worked and stuff, that he was always going live at a certain time. I didn't know that. I don't watch everyone's channel religious. Just like I said, I need my peace. I do check in people's videos here and there just to kind of like be like, okay, what's this person up to? But I'm not daily like watching every stream that's happening. I just can't do that to myself to like relive that every day. But yeah, it was like a week, maybe 8 days later. But what happened was I was making videos about Doug that he went missing. And then his mom, who was, I think
Before? Oh, you were doing videos
I
about him
did videos.
before.
Maybe it was like day 4 of him being missing, day
Oh,
5. It
wow.
was something like that. And I made a video saying, "Hey, Doug missed his like, you know, it's on my channel still probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
know, he
saw
missed his
that
live,
post.
yeah, like he missed his live stream and stuff, and people are wondering where he is and blah blah blah. And it was just like just to get people like talking to see if anyone heard anything, or you know, just like a normal like concerned, you know, person that got brought into it because people knew I was friends with him. So then a couple maybe a day or two more goes by. Maybe this is like day 7 now, maybe day 8. It was something like he's been missing now for like a week at this point. And we all kind of at this point were like, okay, this isn't looking good. He never showed up at all, right? Like 5 to 7 days later. So then his mom saw my video, but his mom, I don't know if she was still a Scientologist or maybe she was I don't know the whole dynamic. I don't want to like speak on like what that is because maybe she has left. I don't know, but they had some tumultuous relationship. So then she saw my video, and then a family friend, I don't know if she knew the mother or she knew Doug. There was some sort of connector between, I think, like Doug's mom and like it was like me, Doug's mom, and this other family friend. And maybe the family friend told her, like, hey, watch Steve's
Yeah.
video. Your son's missing. Something happened. But people just think like if you called the police and say, I want a wellness check, it works in the sense of like maybe his mother calling to do it. If I call, like he missed a live stream, that's why I'm calling it. They're going to be like,
Right.
we have murder in LA. We have like so much shit going on. We just can't just say a grown man in his 40s missed a live stream.
And
Like,
but also
what are they going to
like
do?
it's not also your responsibility. None of this is your responsibility.
Yeah, I started
Okay.
taking it all on, and then I felt like now I have to be the one to kind of like intermediary this and help try to like track Doug down and the other ex-Scientologists. I don't want to just name for reasons right now. I'll tell you privately, but then this person was trying to tell me that I should be going to drive to the house and doing all this sort of stuff. And then I'm just over here like, oh my God, like then I'm worried and panicked and stressed out. But then basically his mom, because they saw my video, was able to call the wellness check. And then they obviously went to the apartment and they found him deceased for a period of time. But then that other ex-Scientologist person was saying like, oh, maybe you would have found him earlier or whatever. But it's like he died from like chronic like smoking issues, like COPD. Like he was
Yeah,
like
he had
a
a
very
heart
heavy
attack.
smoker.
He had a heart attack.
It's not like I could have saved
And
him
also,
at that
I don't.
point.
Did he get the COVID shot? Not to be weird and bring up all that, but
Um,
there's so
I
many things that people have happened to
yeah,
people after they've got COVID, whether they got COVID
yeah.
shot or not. You can still get COVID when you don't get the
I
shot.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so the virus is still in, and that has had an effect on obviously so many
yeah,
people's bodies. So
yeah. I
I'm
think
just,
he
I
was
feel really shitty,
against it.
Steven, that
No,
somebody.
no,
And do
it's
you
not.
like Steve or Steven? I saw
I go by
somebody in the.
both. You call me either
That's what I
way.
thought.
Steve, Steven. Yeah, I go by
You're like,
both.
hey,
I'm
it's
not like,
Steve.
oh,
I
you
was like,
called me
okay, good.
Steven or something.
I know.
I say my name both ways, so it just depends on the day. Yeah,
Okay, but yeah,
either way.
that's not your responsibility, and I'm so glad that I'm sorry that you had to deal with that while you were freaking dealing with your body and healing. Period. That's
Yeah,
also shitty. There's so many people that cared about Doug and also could have done so much more for him as well, if
yeah,
you really
of
want to
course.
say
Yeah,
that.
but then
And
it was
that could
me
have been
and
years
Marisa.
before he
Mhm.
died.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But they
So,
wanted to drag me and Marisa, Diane Etex. They dragged me and Marisa into it. I know that she met you at one of the protests when, she came here for, I forget which protest was a while ago, but her and I, because we were known as Doug's friends, because Doug was against Karen. Doug was kind of like an outlier, just like how I kind of was in the ex-Scientology world. And Marisa also was like speaking up against like Karen and these like authority figures in the movement of sort of exposing Scientology. So then both of us got like shit on like, Steve, you live in LA, you should have been driving around endlessly looking for Doug. And then Marisa, you were friends and you guys were trying to tell people on YouTube not to look for Doug. Yeah, because day one he missed the stream. Could you imagine if it was just an innocent thing, like how it would normally be in any normal situation? Most time, unless the person dies, most people may be like, oh yeah, my computer died, I couldn't make it, or something else happened, right? Like, I don't know, he was sick, he was in the hospital, something else could have happened. He didn't want to probably have police knocking on his door. I wouldn't want LAPD
right,
knocking on my door and barging in my house. So
right.
that's kind of the logic I had in the beginning, until it got a couple days later and I got a little obviously more worried about the situation at hand. But yeah, it was just like kind of, because this was like what, a year and a half ago now or so. I mean,
And
yeah, that was,
I'm not gonna also I'm just sorry,
no,
I'm
no,
gonna
go
say
for
this.
it.
This also probably didn't feel good for you when the same people that are attacking you are Karen and these people that you've already dealt with separately in your
Yeah,
own. So it's like there's mixed bullshit here. There's mixed like,
yeah,
no, it wasn't just, oh, we were calling out Steve Mango or whatever. No, there was other people purposely calling him out or not saying certain things so that it would look a certain way
yeah, yep,
for
yep,
their
and
own benefits,
yeah,
literally for their own financial benefits. In the end, that's what it is, right?
yep,
We all got to pay a mortgage, but what
yeah,
if you have your apartment rent? All of a sudden, it's not as important as a mortgage. I have a house. I have rent
yeah,
to pay. It's
yeah,
all the same fucking shit.
yeah. At at the end of the day,
It's the same.
exactly.
It's me. I still have to do all the work I have to do to pay all my bills, and they
Yep.
are a lot.
Yeah, right. Like everyone, oh, everyone's always sinking under the weight right now, right? It's just everything's so fucking expensive. But yeah, and it's just like I was dealing with all my medical stuff and expenses on that and trying to get pain treated. And another thing I haven't really been like a vocal advocate about it on YouTube, but I'm a very vocal advocate for chronic pain and chronic pain treatment. There's another crisis. I'm using my platform here of being on your channel and also my channel to say it, that chronic pain is not being treated in this country. The other side of the opioid epidemic is an untreated pain crisis. The
Yeah.
people in pain are the victims of that because doctors don't want to prescribe to chronic pain patients. They don't want to have their license on the line or have the DEA knock on their door or whatever. So you go to chronic pain doctors, they don't want to do anything but, oh, maybe we'll do an injection into your spine. Money, 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 thousands of dollars, right? All these like off-label crazy things. So that was another thing I was really passionate, or I've been really passionate about lately, is like, this is another big problem in our country people don't know about. And it's like another way I could advocate for people who are like an underdog besides just Scientology. It's like, there's chronic pain people like me who need help, and have
Yeah.
very wrong things in our bodies and don't often get the right help because they just say, oh, it's the opioid epidemic and there's overprescribing, blah, blah, blah. So at that point, the reason I'm bringing that up too is like back then I was suffering more with my chronic pain issues. So it's just like, I'm here, this is my guest room, and I'm just like literally like lying in there, like basically could barely stand up out of that bed, to do anything. And, the one, the one person that kind of helped save my life is Taylor Swift, like listening to her music, because it's just in a period of just like day after day, year after year, just like in agony, physical like suffering. And if I was in Scientology, I'd be dead. The tumors would have grown, and I would have, like I told you at the protest, the one that was on my sacral spine, tailbone, would have just grown so much that I would have been paralyzed. I could have lost bladder functioning and just been completely just like, paralyzed from, just the growth of the tumor on your spine. And of course, your spine is communicating messages to your brain. So you can imagine what kind of damage that could have done to me. So
Yeah.
Scientology could have killed me to the point of saying, no, your pain is just psychosomatic and blah, blah, blah. So I always have my little shrine to Taylor Swift over here. Kind of can't really see it, but it's like back there, like her albums and records and stuff back there, because she's someone who kind of helped, as crazy as it sounds, to kind of get me out of my, physical suffering and stuff like that too. So I mean, I faced lots of battles over the years and
Do
stuff.
you mean,
But my
can you
health is a lot
explain
more
that?
normal.
This is silly, but could you explain that a little more? Like, was there a song or something, like, were you being playful with her music and just like singing her lyrics and dancing and being how Taylor is? Like,
It was an escape. It was
an escape.
definitely, yeah, it was
not
totally
that you
an
were
escape.
like Metallica Taylor, or is it like that?
I love that.
I'm more of
maybe
like,
to a
fuck yeah,
degree.
Metallica. I
Yeah,
couldn't. I
right.
don't know if I could have that strong of a thing for
Yeah,
Taylor, but
yeah, it was during the time. It was more like, so she went on tour starting around like March of 2023 or so, and that's when I was like really like kind of like getting heavy in her music, because she'd pop up on my For You page on TikTok. So I'm scrolling, I just see Taylor Swift, and I wasn't a fan like before that. Really, it was just kind of like, oh, like you just hear like what the public, oh, she has like a couple songs that are overplayed right on the radio. So it was like that type of thing where I'm like, oh, I don't think I can like get into her music like that. But again, I'm suffering at the same time. So I'm watching, I'm really like, oh, like she actually has like really deep lyrics. And like, besides like the bubblegum pop songs that she's kind of known for, like when I really got into like her like discography of music and like really got into her, I'm like, wow, like she has like really powerful music that like relates to like my like young millennial experience, I guess, at the same time. Like she's, I'm like 34 now. I just turned 34 a week ago. And then she's like
Happy
35. So I
birthday.
feel like, thank you. Her experience is kind of like meshed with mine in different ways. So I'm just like, it just became like an escape for me to like, while I was going through the suffering, to have like that, it sounds silly probably, but it's like just to have that type of music and that person that I was just like watching.
Yeah.
And just had the escape. And I ended up
Like a
going
natural
to see
medicine, and it's
Yeah.
not hurting you, and it's probably actually really good for your brain.
Yeah, just having that music to, that's what it's there for, right? To,
That's
have
wild.
that. So it was cool. Like I went to see her 4
So
times.
you went and saw. I saw your Instagram
So yeah,
photos.
I saw
So
her in
cute.
London.
You went and saw her 4 times.
Yeah, I saw her
Wow.
twice in London. It was like back-to-back days, and then I went to see her in Miami, and then I went to see her in Toronto. So I just made it like, you know what, like F it, like I'm just gonna go and just go on a little mini tour, I guess.
That's
and
so.
to,
Did you
she
go by
wasn't in LA, so
yourself?
yeah, I just
Wow, what a
it was
moment to
little
have.
solo journey, because it's like it's crazy, like 96,000 people in London in one stadium, like that was just so insane. Like I'm so like
It's
like
such
nice
a
memories with
good.
it,
That's
so.
really cool. That's actually a good point. I had a huge at the Metallica. I went with
Yeah.
Sina. I don't know if do you know Sina Kamula?
I've heard of her, yeah. I don't know if
Okay.
I've talked to her, but I know who she is, yeah.
Okay, I love her. She's such an angel babe, and she's grown so much, and she's such like a camper and a
Yeah,
adventurer and all that. And so we went to
Oh wow,
Power
cool.
Trip Festival, which had like Metallica, Guns N' Roses,
Oh my
Iron
god.
Maiden, Judas
Oh
Priest,
wow. That must have been
um,
amazing.
like I'm
When was that?
totally
Was that a while
Metallica,
ago?
like a
I don't
year
even.
and a half, 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
I was trying to
May
think. I'm
oh
like, I don't feel like
no,
that was like a
less.
recent tour, was
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. And
Oh, that's
that
amazing.
going there and with Sina and being on our little microdose trip and just
Yeah,
like feeling and like knowing we both had each other no matter what would happen and no matter what we were feeling, like
yeah,
was such an amazing experience. And yes, part of it was music. Yes, it was also partly that we were out in the desert in
yeah,
nature. So that's a whole other vibe than just being
yeah.
in like a
Totally.
big studio or whatever, or a big
Yeah.
warehouse or a big
Hmm. Like a
stadium.
stadium type of place. Yeah.
Right, you see Nate, there's tree. Anyway, so
Oh my
and
god,
then me
that's
and
so cool.
Sina also understand our past and
You
our
have a
triggers
joint
and
experience.
traumas. So it was just like a really healing thing for reals. Like, and it was something I hadn't even really expected. And to this day, I'm like, God, there was just something about camping there for the 3 days and going with the van and showing up and just having that time was just like so amazing. So I totally relate to music being a healing thing, whatever way
Yeah.
that is. Yeah.
Like when you're talking about like microdosing and stuff like that too, what is your perspective on things like trying like ketamine? Like they always talk about ketamine's good for like PTSD. Have you ever tried it or anything? Like that's another thing before. It's like I wonder if I should like do something like that someday and try like the
I
more of
feel
like
that
that pure route.
anything I haven't I've tried a cream version
Yeah, yeah.
for a friend.
Hmm.
Um uh and it just made me like kind of sleepy,
Yeah.
but
Totally.
it was like a strong cream version, so it
Hmm.
wasn't that it didn't like hit the body hard or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Other than that, mushroom psilocybin
Hmm.
specifically,
Has
and
that made a
also
big
just
difference though?
100% because
Really?
it's healing for me. It's
Yeah,
healing the brain. This is
yeah,
all for me, guys. Okay, I am an
yeah.
expert in my own world.
Yeah, right.
But it's healing the brain as you're processing and going through. And so there's going to be times where like, okay, the last I say like my last trip, my
Yeah.
actual last like nature trip, I finally felt the sadness I needed to feel about
Mm,
the loss of the love that I have
mm,
for my mom and dad and that they have for
wow.
me that they can't give me.
Mm,
They
wow.
have it, but they can't give
That's
it to
deep.
me.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my God.
And I was just there with nature and I could see the trees breathing and I asked for it. I said,
Yeah.
"Where are my ancestors? Where like what is this connection that I'm so withdrawn from, like that I have no idea what even, and I only see as a concept. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like I know my ancestors. I don't feel, so for me that's definitely no joke, especially when you go into it in a way where you're like, I don't know how to explain it. You go into when you're ready to really do the self-care and really like check in and say, how do you feel? Am I angry? What do I actually feel about it? And doing that actually showed me that my anger wasn't anger. It was complete deep sadness
Mm,
that I can't experience
wow.
seeing my mother and my father enjoy their
Yeah.
lives to the
Wow.
fullest. And for some reason I feel suppressed knowing that they aren't able, even for the
Yeah.
last year of their life or whatever, just get out now and we can show you the rest. Even if
Yeah.
it's going to be painful, it feels like better to feel this lifetime what it is than not to feel it and then you die. It just feels so empty and completely the
Mm,
opposite of why we all exist, why she put me into this world.
wow. Isn't that crazy? It could like wake you up to like having like a different like, third eye or whatever like the right way is.
Literally, a
And yeah, and
hundred
so
percent.
people
That's
know like they do like
absolutely what it is.
yeah, I was gonna just say for people like they do ketamine for PTSD under the doctor's supervision. I was looking at some of the comments, like that is like a doctor does it for people with trauma, and they have a therapist that like sits with you too, like after you get like the ketamine infusions that like talk to you and like processes like the trauma and stuff. So it's a medical treatment. It's not like I'm just like, oh, like what do you know about ketamine? It was just more like, that. And same thing with stuff like that. I'm just like looking at every angle of it too, because it's just interesting. Like talk therapy helps people. Some people like they'll be like, oh, I did like, one ketamine session and boom, like their trauma is just like melted away. Or it's just interesting, like just connecting with other people who are also like through the same sort of experience of like Scientology and just seeing like how do you heal from that? It's just interesting because everyone does it a little different, you know.
Differently, right? And
That's just
that was my
interesting.
question. I was like, what are the little what are methods that you've done personally? Because I have my own. I've also tried, alcohol. I've had a relationship with alcohol to
Yeah.
handle or to suppress my traumas when I was dealing with it or dealt with it sober. And then I ran off and I was like, oh, I need a drink. That was my
Yeah.
good friend for so long. And so now I'm weaning off my little friend and just kind of maybe hanging out with another, sort of
Yeah.
energy friend, and maybe not hang out with that friend so much. Just leave them for a little time or two here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. It
That's how
depends
I
on
look at
how,
it.
yeah.
Like, let's just see how I grow without it, and will that fill that void that I keep asking for? Is that
Yeah.
or that healing?
Hmm.
And so I don't have opinions and judgments on like how people want to heal, or I'm
Yeah.
like, cool. My question really is, did it help you? Did
Yeah.
it get down to that thing where you're no longer on the fucking edge or on your little like,
Mm-mm. Totally.
nervous wreck eggshells?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like people don't realize like when we've been through complex post-traumatic stress in our life, your story is a little bit different, but we still have, the common, abuse that, is kind of above us, right? So maybe for me, I can't drink. It makes my body feel inflamed. I don't like feeling like, out of it like with alcohol, but someone
Well,
else, if
alcohol
that's how
is the
or
most
whatever, you know what I mean? Yeah.
inflammatory, most common thing that everybody in the world uses,
Yeah.
and it's the most inflammatory for the
Yeah,
body.
and it hurts
So
my body so much, so
anything,
I can't do that,
yeah,
but you know what I mean? It's just like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just kinda interesting to kinda see, but yeah, it's like people try to judge just in general, like, "Oh, like, why do you do this or that? Do you take medication for chronic pain or whatever?" It's like, you guys live with the tumors, and you see if you wanna take, like, pain medication for the tumors, and then you see, And that was a hard thing too for me for my time, like, coming out of Scientology to be like, would I take any type of medication? It could be gabapentin, it could be, like, something stronger than that, whatever, it's just, like, obviously prescribed by a doctor, but that was another thing that took years and years and years to be like, would I be okay with that? Like if I was in the hospital and they want to give me something for anxiety or something, and it's just, it's an individual journey, I guess. But, that's why I'm more interested now than I would say in the past to be like, oh, I want to do a ketamine infusion or something. Not a chance in hell, maybe. I don't know how many years ago, but definitely not the first number of years. That's why I was
Right.
susceptible
It
for
took
someone like a
me.
Karen or whatever.
It took. Yes, I thought you meant as a joke, a Karen, but yeah, you really
But
mean
both
that.
actually. Yeah, right.
It took me a while to smoke any kind of marijuana.
Yeah.
Like, the first fucked up thing I did was smoking cigarettes, and that was because I started smoking the cool cigarettes at
Yeah.
Flag in Clearwater when I was on route outlines, when I was routing out, they call
Oh,
it route outlines,
yeah.
leaving the Sea Org.
Oh my God.
And I was already approved and everything, and I was like bored and being like, what do I have to do that's not out ethics, but that they'll let me go?
Yeah,
What do
right.
I need to do to like show you that I'm going to start living my life, whether it's in the Sea Org dorm and I'm just on the porch smoking a cigarette at whatever time I want?
Yeah, yeah,
So
seriously.
then they were like, oh, we're writing a report on her. And then it was a knowledge report. No, now we're shipping her to the QI so that she can
Oh my
stay
God.
away so no Sea Org members see her. She's a bad influence. She's making other people want to leave. Just always that shit. But yeah.
Oh my God. Well,
Then
we're
the
safe now
smoking to the,
then.
yeah,
Always
smoking.
remind us.
I was so afraid of marijuana in Little Red Radio. Like
Yeah.
literally, like I barely started smoking marijuana, and it was just fun and joyful and laughy, and then sometimes I would get the spins and throw up
Oh my
after like 2 puffs, and I went through
God.
all that for like years, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then didn't try anything. I was literally still brainwashed into the, and I don't mean in a bad way or a good way.
yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
just had these old Scientology
Yeah, just their
beliefs that
beliefs into
helped
it.
me get surviving to wherever the fuck I am today, that just stay away
Mhm.
from the drugs and the pills and all that.
Do you think that they think in terms of like any of like the good like medical aspects of any of this? Like Hubbard didn't want like say us to do something that could have helped our mind. Like maybe we had some past childhood trauma. He wouldn't want us to say go to get a ketamine infusion or something, right? So then he only has the solution. We can't do something that could help us more than Scientology could have. So I think
Right.
like that's why they're so anti-drug about everything. Like
100%.
no
100%.
psychiatry, yeah, because the psychiatrist could have helped us. So it's like they don't want us to go see that person. Only Scientology. That's the only way. And if it doesn't work, then you're the problem. We have to look into you. Like, have you been reading something that you shouldn't have been
Right.
reading
And we
late at
have a
night? Or
solution. L. Ron Hubbard has a solution for everything. So whatever it is, we'll give you the answer. And not
yeah,
only that, I think that he ripped again some of the solutions
yeah,
and said, like, think for yourself, right?
Yeah.
because he got that from being so fucked up on drugs, where he really was like,
Yeah.
wow, like this is really thinking how I want to think, or really being able to, not being on drugs will make you do that. But if you are literally creating policy letters and things to
Yeah.
manipulate people and brainwash people, you're going to want to know what it feels like. Oh, why? You're going to want to know, why did L. Ron Hubbard come up with the concept of not allowing people on LSD to join the Sea Org? Because
Yeah.
eventually they're going to know, like, this is all fucking bullshit. Like
Yeah.
you get a different perspective. That's, you know. And so when I started doing little things like a little marijuana, in fact, I was at the art share downtown and I was
Yeah.
with
Oh my
Jason Spalino, and I've said this on my my episodes, but I was staring outside his big window and it was open and it was a cold, beautiful night in dirty downtown Los Angeles. And I was smoking, and Jason had wheat pasted this like Scientology art piece, like with the Scientology Boo building.
Oh,
And
yeah,
it
right.
looked cool, however he did it. And I don't even think it was an anti piece or anything. He just
Yeah,
put it,
yeah.
I was like, and he's like, I'm just putting it there. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like a month or so later and it was kind of ripped, and I was staring at it and I was smoking my joint, and I literally thought, well, what are the things they have on the billboard? Somehow my train of thought went to like, well, they have the, oh, think for yourself. And I was like thinking, well, I am thinking for myself, because now I'm thinking about the billboards and why do they put up these billboards, and what
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
main things they use to get people in. And then I was like, well, if I think for myself, this is what I really feel. And I was like, well, yeah. So I was starting to ask myself those questions. And that
Mhm.
happened when I started smoking marijuana, where it allowed me to have a different perspective. And when I
Yeah.
see myself seeing a different perspective, it answers the question for me that I'm not, me thinking I know everything about that is wrong, because I was just shown another perspective. So then I can easily let the thing go.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, well, I'm right about this. I'm kind of like, no, I just saw a whole different perspective, and it just feels like I learned something. Like I gained, like I don't have to be doing that anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the mushies, when I went off and started doing, I was able to feel free. I felt like I was joyful. I was also, I did a very microdosing fun version with my friends to start, who was just me and her. We went to the beach. She knew
nice.
like where to,
Yeah.
and it's just so beautiful. You get to, I would just say you can do little, and you start to, you feel how you are. That's what it
Yeah.
does. It makes you. And then for me, when I'm in my space doing this, I feel like, where is my anger? What is it that's upsetting me? And then I can go right in and go right there. And
Yeah.
it feels so amazing to cry and to release it, and you're doing it by yourself, so you're not manipulating. There's
Yeah.
you're not manipulating yourself, and you're not allowing anybody to manipulate, or so it just
Totally.
feels so, it's very cleansing. It's like a cleansing awareness thing. Anyways, what I was getting to is that I was so afraid of all these things. So now, like you said, there's people out there like, oh, Laura's an alcoholic, a druggie. It's like, no. When I'm addressing behaviors
Yeah.
and certain things, this is not the concoction to be mixing. But I also understand that. I don't understand why people attack or whatever it is, like
Yeah.
make obvious what the thing upset. Okay, great. And now what? Like, so to me, it felt like, how do I address this for me then? Since,
Yeah.
people can talk shit all they want and da-da-da. The real thing is,
Totally.
I don't like doing this. I don't like being this way. Or I want to make this so I don't have to carry this with a burden and feel like I have to cover this up all the time. So I have to figure out how it's going to work for me. And for alcohol was numbing, was giving me that security and safety so I can get through everything.
Right. Yeah.
And now it's like to a point where it's like, okay, when I'm doing that and addressing all that, for me, it's kind of I'm sorry to say this, but it's so dorky, but I feel kind of like excited that I learned that in such a harsh, shitty way, like, an unsafe way. And I feel that now that I know it, I feel it's opened a thing where I go, okay, hey, remember when you go off and do your camping trips and, process, bring up this thing for yourself. What is it that I'm, all these little things that are covered. Why do, because I don't have that. And so it just feels good. And nobody made me do that. Like, so nobody was like, hey, Laura, I would recommend you do this. It's just a lot of the things I had to do on my own at my own pace, or by certain friends or somebody being able to, you know, like lovingly come in and just give me a really good mature lesson that was valuable
Mm.
and loving for me, instead of feeling like I had to
Attacked
fix,
and yeah.
or
Mhm.
I handle this, get your ethics, and like fuck
Yeah.
that shit. My fucking ethics is motherfucking in. Fuck you.
Yeah,
So like,
seriously.
yeah, I just want to, and so that is all part of that. It's all part of being like, okay, and part of it is talking about people who are still fucking auditing in this cult and getting away with it in the community. Like, no, this is unbelievable. No way. Like, so if people are talking, if we're going through all this shit,
Yeah.
Steven, we have to
Yeah.
be able to, everybody needs to be able to
Like cope
have
with
that
that.
option. Yeah,
Yeah,
come
seriously.
through and say your shit and be real. If you guys were still Scientologists, if you guys have old ties and you feel nervous about exposing that, well, it's going to get exposed, because that's what happens. We have to expose Scientology. And those are all the roots that when you pull the
Yep.
weeds, those all come with it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to keep, you got to let that shit go. Otherwise, yeah, it's just I mean, selfishly, I feel like I even got a few things answered in my own space of things that were happening. And I'm like, yeah, how did I get intertwined with Jeff and Karen? And it just makes
Yeah.
sense. Like, oh, yeah, well, I clearly wasn't in a state of mind to be like, oh, who's surrounding me? Like, who's being aware? Like, oh, she was an ex-cadet. Oh, good. We'll work on her. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
nobody's telling us this. And,
Yeah,
and also
seriously.
nobody's talking about it. So it's
Yeah.
great to actually talk about shit that clarifies a bunch of this same cult-like mentality of keeping people
Mhm.
in that headspace and not
Yeah.
allowing them to live their own lives, like
I think
try
it makes a
other
big
things.
difference when you were talking about it earlier too, and I was thinking about it. It makes a big difference for people to not know, learn about it, and then say, "Okay, that's fucked up," and condemn them more or less for having to do that. It's different when people know, and then they say, "Oh, like I'm not going to say anything. We're not going to talk about that. We're going to bury that." And then it's another sort of thing that comes up, right? And it's just like you're covering up, just like you're covering up for Scientology. Like Mike Rinder not talking about child abuse and the stuff that he should have been talking about when
Right.
he was alive, and then so now he's off scotch free. I mean, it sounds bad to say it that way, but you know what I mean? It's just like, and he doesn't say it, and then, because he's afraid that his own, wrist is going to get slapped for what he was probably overseeing. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, and
my
I
take
feel
on it,
like,
though.
well, okay, your wrist is gonna get slapped. Okay.
Then you
And
should
then
take
what?
that.
Learn from that. Oh, my friend. My birthday girlfriend. This is so funny. She
So
did this
cute.
last time. Hi, honey. I'm almost done with the live stream. I'll call you right after. Okay, love you. Happy birthday. Bye. She's so cute. I'm gonna go to dinner with my friend.
Fun. We should do
So
like a live. We have to do like a live like Q&A, or just like we have to go live together in the same place. But we should like plan it where we'll do like an actual like Q&A and stuff too, because you live around here too, right? You
yeah,
were saying
totally.
so. I mean, whenever we want to
Absolutely.
get together, we need to
I would
plan
love
more.
that. You mean
That'll be
I
so
come
fun.
over there with
Yeah,
you?
you can come over here and come
I
to
would
my
love that.
place,
That would
and
be, we
that'll
can
be
have
fun. We can have
tea
dinner.
time.
Yeah, we can have a little tea time. I love that.
I love that.
That
Okay,
whenever
let
you
me
want.
sorry, that thing totally interrupted us. Did you finish?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
were
I
on
made my
a
point.
on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
thing.
I
Yeah.
made my, no, I
We
made my
got to be
point.
transparent, and it also has to be with like, hey, for me, it feels easier to resolve things if we bring them up with like, hey, well, this is what happened. This is how I view it.
Yeah,
And you can either, Karen and Jeff can come out and talk about this or not, because you are still tied in with other things in the past from other past connections of Scientology, which is valid. That's the thing. It's
yeah,
like, we understand it. Of course you would be still connected, or of course you would still have a contact or a few in the
yeah,
LAPD or so-and-so whatevers, especially if you're running a gallery and whatever they're running.
yeah,
I really don't know. But
yeah. Some sort of like
so
money
I'm just
laundering.
saying, there's in a Scientology term for you, Karen, since you're clearly still being a Scientologist, you need to come clean and be honest with your auditing and intentions, and to the public, and openly
Yeah,
say, if you're going to be literally, I hate to say this, but feeding or predatorizing,
yeah,
whatever the word is,
yeah,
like scanning out who you can possibly, audit from this ex-Scientology community, because anybody leaving Scientology now is gonna hear about this ex-Scientology community.
yeah,
So Karen, not okay that anybody coming out of Scientology or the Sea Org is coming to you or Jeff, honestly, at this point, when you guys are literally auditing people using Scientology, hypnotic, disgusting behaviors, and not looking at it being like, all right, we need to step
Yeah,
away from this completely. And maybe they
totally.
just can't. I don't
And you
know.
know what? I
Maybe,
think not as many people are falling to them. Like, I think there's so many more people making videos and doing stuff nowadays that I don't think it's like it was like a decade ago when it was more like they were the two that were like running the show. I genuinely believe that. I don't think people like find them first. I think people find Aaron first and they find whoever's like under that. Like, in terms of like social media, like they'll go on TikTok, they'll see, Streets LA, and they'll see these other sort of guys. So I think people find them before they find her. You know what I mean? So I'm
yeah,
hoping that no
I
one else
thought
gets
like
affected by
maybe
that.
they, I don't know, in my my knowledgeable mind on, child trauma and like trying to separate
Yeah.
myself from the cult and stuff, I could see that like maybe even in their minds and ex-Scientologist minds that, oh, maybe it's good they go to them first when they come out because then they can slowly teeter-totter them off of the
Mm,
edge. That's the only thing
mm,
I could see as being anything useful. But like other than that, it seems to me she's literally getting money. No, this is just
yeah.
fucking so gross. It's like
Yeah, it
continuing.
wasn't. Yeah, sorry to cut you off on it. It'd be different if it was like, hey, like we want to help nurture and help you in some way, and this is the way you know how, even though it's like we agree that it's not real. But if there was some sort of like element of like, okay, we're here to kind of like coach you through like what you just came out of, that's one thing. It's another thing to do the same exact system that Scientology does outside, charges the money, and then you're the one that's the L. Ron Hubbard. That's a whole different story. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
where the toxic abuse is versus like, oh, I'm trying to help you in some way and I'm giving you some free,
But
coaching or something, which honestly
but
wasn't how it
and
went at
not
all.
being transparent to people you're literally going out and protesting with. Like Karen and Jeff were at the Celebrity Center protest. Like,
That's
there
disgusting.
it's
Yeah.
I'm just saying they're
Yeah.
they're known people in the quote ex Scientology community.
Yeah.
The under the Outer Banks, there's all these communities that they're a part of, yet they don't talk about their crimes or what they've messed their hands with
Yeah. No,
because
that doesn't get talked
they're
about. Yeah.
still doing stuff. They still have people they don't want to talk shit about because they helped them at one point or still are helping them to a degree, buying their thing, letting sending us checks, like you said,
Yeah.
like, and they don't want to stop that. That's so at a certain point, it's like, sure, go ahead and keep doing it, but you're going to be called out then.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do it even if I get the blowback for it back then, because they obviously were more liked back then. Like, no, I'm gonna put all those, receipts in the videos, all the screenshots. And what I'll do later, if you guys are coming from Laura's channel and you want to come to mine, I'll post maybe like a community post and I'll put like the videos so people could watch. Because they're kind of like buried
There you
deeper in
go.
my channel.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
if any
yeah.
of you
And
guys want to see like all this story, and
it'll
then
be under your
I'll
description or
put it,
whatever.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, like
Or
after
in, I don't
we
know how. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's a good idea. I'll put it in the description once like we're off here. I'll put it back in like some point. Come by at least by tomorrow in case I fall asleep or something later. You guys go and
I'm gonna
take a little
suck
nap.
you
But
back in. No, I'm just kidding.
oh my god, no,
Yeah, that would be
this
good.
is
It's
fun.
just good to, it's not even, it's just to be like this behavior is literally abusive. It's still
Yeah.
connected to the abusive family and it has to stop,
Well,
period.
so people could see like the messages of how it played out because like of course I told the story, but then they could actually see like the manipulations and the text messages and like how it all played out as it went down.
Right.
I'm just doing it off of my recollection, like, oh yeah, I think it was around this time of year. This is how it happened when the Vegas thing happened. They'll see it all in the messages, like
And
timeline of
I mean,
how it all
also at
kind
a
of like played
certain
out.
point, it would be interesting if like one of them were like, okay, hey, this is correct. This is what happened. We canceled all auditing. We're not doing that anymore. Like, why not the transparency?
Yeah, because maybe then other people would find out that there's not auditing being done, but they want people to obviously find them to get that. They're not going to say it's not happening
Whatever the
because it
reason
clearly
is.
is. Yeah,
Right, exactly.
clearly
That's so
something's
I feel
going
like
on.
it'll just show itself at this point.
Exactly. Oh my god.
Okay, well, this was freaking awesome. Let's run
This
through
was
these really
amazing.
quick. Hi, Super Pup Erica. Erica's a
Super
freaking
Pup.
amazing. She's
Hey. Hey, Super Pup.
very supportive of you.
Love that.
JB808 commented, Steven was used to recruit Whitney Houston into the cult. Is that real?
I wasn't used to No, I think they're saying
Okay.
Scientology was used to recruit Whitney Houston and maybe
Oh, okay. Oh,
something like
maybe
that,
he was
maybe.
saying Steven was
Yeah,
what you used to
was
use.
maybe, yeah, maybe
And
was used to.
Grant Cardone was trying to as well before everyone knew who he was. Okay.
Interesting.
Do you
Yeah.
know anything about that? No? Okay.
No,
Moving
not
on.
particularly.
Welderman132, hi, said, Laura, did your parents join Scientology in Canada or when they came into the States? In Canada. Yeah, they met at the Toronto organization.
Mm.
Thank you, Welderman, Welderman made me this
Oh, that's so
the
cool.
Laura LFM.
That's awesome. I
Steven,
want
can
one.
you talk about how you get picked? Oh, can you talk about how you get picked for the movie?
Oh yeah, so when I made my 2.5 hour video exposing Scientology, then John Dower, the director of my Scientology movie with Louis Theroux, kind of a silly name for the documentary, but anyways, he saw me speaking out. There weren't really many ex-Scientologists, like I've been saying this whole video, that were making videos, so he came across mine because there was like news stories about it and stuff. So that's when he saw me, and that's when I found out it was a Louis Theroux movie and stuff, and then probably a couple weeks or a few months later, they went into production. Marty Rathbun got involved with it, and then it just kind of took twists and turns in there. How did you get in the Over the Rainbow one? That's, I don't know if I
So,
saw you talk about
God,
that
people
before.
are so like just sneaky and not transparent
Yeah, yeah,
in the whole Hollywood fucking.
yeah,
But
totally.
basically, just really long, like 30 seconds.
Yeah,
The Jeff, the documentary, the director,
yeah,
wanted to get all these different perspectives of people who were in or out of Scientology and the kids and the da-da-da. When he came to me, I said, yes, it started with me. And I said, yes, I'll do it, but I want to, I need to talk about all the ranch and the kids and the abuse and
yeah,
stuff like that, all of that. And like, you saw the documentary, there
yeah,
was like nothing.
yeah. There wasn't.
And
No.
we went all the way to the Int Ranch, got permission from the Indians to only have 4 hours to quickly go everywhere. And and he had his crew, and one of them was my friend, so I was
Oh
also
my
one of the
God. Yeah,
reasons literally why I did it, because she
yeah,
was like, oh, he's really great,
yeah,
whatever, this is gonna be a great documentary, just say what you want, whatever. And honestly, like, I'm feeling bad. I think I know I was very triggered when the documentary came out, and I was like,
yeah,
and then I was just like learning like my just what makes me feel like shit when I remember. And I was like,
yeah,
wait a minute, where's all like the kids and the talk? And I've got Nathan Tompkins and Sarah and all these people, and it was just like clips.
yeah. They misrepresented it to get you to be involved when you wouldn't have been involved, and then they don't even do like your like
And I also
condition for
feel,
it. That's messed up.
but also the Aftermath, I feel like did that. The Aftermath episodes, Scientology in the Aftermath, Leah Remini,
Yeah,
Scientology in the Aftermath. I just felt like I had friends in there as well and there's people we know where it's like their stories are just chop, chop, chop. And it's like, what do you, okay, then put that in the end as a disclaimer. They sued us. Sina couldn't tell her full
yeah,
story because why are you telling only part of the story for money and fame and to get make
yeah,
it look this and all the, like, to me, there's like, it's hard because I feel like there's a line or something
yeah.
where but it's hard to
They
see
made
because
millions of
Hollywood
movies.
is a cult. Hollywood is
Yeah,
also fucking manipulative
true.
and disgusting. So it's just, I don't know. So yeah,
They made
that
millions
was
of
the whole Over
dollars.
the Rainbow thing.
Yeah,
I spent 5 years of my life doing that
5. Wow. It
documentary.
was 5
Not
years.
5 years. He said,
Wow.
no, don't go on the Aftermath Foundation show. They called me, one of the supervisors or
Yeah,
something. I'm sure you know her or
yeah,
whatever. Called me and said, hey, we heard, and I said, oh, they're like, but we need to know by like tomorrow. And I was kind of
yeah. But
like,
you're participating in something else, and you couldn't agree, right?
yeah.
And then yeah,
And so then I didn't, and then more things and more, and there was other people that reached out for me that wanted, hey, we want to have you on our podcast. And for some reason, I felt like because I had filmed so many hours and talked and spent so much time with
yeah.
Jeff doing this documentary, I thought it was going to be a really epic and clean, precise, like fucking
That was gonna tell it all. Yeah,
representation of everything.
yeah.
And
That
so I
was gonna
felt
tell it
very
all.
offended when it came out, and I felt heartbroken. Like, well, I almost felt a release. Like when he showed me the video privately, I just felt so cornered in my little cottage, and like,
Yeah,
I don't know, I was like traumatized, and it kind of went
yeah,
into that. Like, when I was watching the part of Karen and Jeff, I was like, who are
yeah.
they?
That
I
was
was like, wait,
sketchy.
those
Yeah.
are. I was like, are they still Scientologists? Why is she holding the e-meter?
Interesting. Yeah,
I was like,
interesting
what the fuck is
parallel
this
there. Yeah,
documentary? I was like,
yeah.
what is
Like, what
Jeff
is
do?
this?
What did Jeff do? And then in my mind, I thought, did Jeff get fucking sued or like threatened by Scientology when they
Yeah,
saw this video?
yeah.
And he probably had to cut a bunch of shit
Yeah.
out. It's so fucking not okay. Like, excuse me, I would have rather done it myself then and poured my guts out on YouTube and not spend the
Yeah,
5
and not
years
deal with
not
it. Yeah.
doing anything. And even like I would ask, this is stupid and I shouldn't have asked, I should have gone somewhere else. But I even asked him while all this, I was fucking bawling my eyes out. So much shit was going, I was saying so much shit. And being directed with lights and shit, it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, wait, hold on. In the middle of like, it felt like you're auditing when somebody, and
Yeah.
oh, the cable guy's here. Do you think we could just take a break? That is so fucked up. Like, you're in the
Yeah.
middle of literally, it's so fucked
The middle
up.
of the story. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I felt like that. So it is. But the truth is, there's chunks and little clips in there that ended up being important, anyways, like my dad calling and shit like that.
Right.
So
Right. I remember all that too.
I'm
yeah.
still like kind of like over the rainbow, but at
Yeah.
the same time, life, I guess, does things in ways, and just like all that shit happening, and I don't know. I feel like
maybe Aftermath could
can-
have brought up too much. Sorry to cut you off. It could have maybe just amplified things to be on a show like that, where they're asking Scientology for a statement about you. And maybe at that point in time in your life, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you about that, but it's like maybe that just wasn't the attention you needed right then in like your journey of like healing from it. It might have just brought way too much. It could have like
I would have fucked it up. I would have
to turn on
fucked it up.
TV and see yourself talking about something
Oh
that's
my
traumatic like
God.
that. It might have been good for your own mental state, honestly. Same
Yeah,
with me.
true.
I'm glad I
and
didn't
my
put
friend
myself on
my
there.
friends went through so much shit after that. Like, they've gone through where it's just, thanks for splatting my story out to the world, and now they're receiving all these messages on Instagram and random things, and it's just like, you just like, there's no resolve, there's no like deep resolution. It's like, well, then don't play with this. Don't be advertising this as a Hollywood TV show. This is my upset about it.
Yeah.
And just having these connections with people, like, these are my things. I'm very, very glad that it brought attention to Scientology and everything, and that's where I say, I guess, just putting it out there anyways, including like me talking about my trauma, even though I don't want to, and it's hard. I do want to, actually. It's just hard. And so I just need to get in there and do it. And then once I start, I kind of get on the roll. But, so it's just annoying that, I guess, going through, we're going through the trauma, talking about our stories, our little details here and there as much as we can, and we're literally still fighting the beast. We're still fighting the energy, in the midst of all this. We're still dealing with people who are dealing with themselves, still trying to cope with, like, seeing, are they still in Scientology when they do this? And all of that feels the same for a community that is being told, where the biggest thing is, you're going to be excommunicated from our community if you it's declared
like, maybe that's
suppressive.
kind of a
At
good
a certain
thing.
point, we're like, we don't fucking care anymore. Like, good,
Yeah,
then
like,
fucking
go
declare
for
me.
it.
I guess
Yeah.
I'm the worst.
Yeah,
You know, where can I then begin to learn? Where will it be that I'm allowed to, like, you know, learn and really see why things are important and have feels? So yeah, long story longer. I'm glad we had this, and I'm glad we were able to talk about all that. I really didn't know fucking any of that. And honestly,
we only
I
scratched
just like,
the surface too.
and we
There's so
just
much
scratched
more
the
we could-
surface. I
we
also,
could keep
I
going
have a
on.
bunch of questions here, but we can.
We'll do part 2 if you want to get together in the next week or so. I mean, my schedule's super flexible, so you let me know if you want to
Okay,
come over
good.
my house. We can
We can
pick it
do
up with
maybe
our
the next one
questions
at
and
your
stuff.
place.
Yeah, let's
That
do
would
it.
be
Come on
cute.
over. Honestly, yeah.
That
I mean,
would be
obviously
really
you have my
cute.
number, so text me and we'll do like a video here and we'll have
Okay,
fun.
amazing.
Well, I love you. Thank
Okay.
you for having me on your channel.
I
And
love
I'm glad we
you.
got to do
Thank
everything,
you.
too.
And let me get this last. Does Karen pay royalties or kickback funds in any way to use their tech?
No,
know?
I don't. No, probably not. I mean, that'd be interesting to find out if that was true, you know, but I don't think so. And I think that's why they were after her, because she probably does use their shit without like licensing it or however it has to be like delivered, you know. So that's interesting. Maybe that's, you know, maybe why they've come for her hard, because they know that she's making money off of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you guys go.
go.
Question: is there any space for ex-Scientologists to convert to other religions after leaving, or is it too traumatizing? JB808.
Can't
My
do it.
answer on that is no. And then I would say the other people that some people I've seen's answer are yes, and they're back in another cult or they're back in some deep religious thing.
Yeah.
But I feel, honestly, I know this is going to sound stupid. I feel that at least being in a lesser cult than Scientology is better.
Yeah,
Is
than
a
being in
better
Scientology.
survival than being in Scientology.
Yeah, seriously.
It's really bad. It's so fucked up. They just fuck. They literally fuck your brain up mentally. And
Yeah.
so, how are you gonna do anything? Anyways, okay, there you go. Thank you guys all so much for being here. We'll do a part 2. We can answer questions from this one. I
Yeah.
can put them all together in
Yeah,
case I
let's do
miss
it.
some. And thank you so much for being
Thanks,
here, and
Nancy.
so much for coming out to the Father's Day protest, because that made me be like, oh my God, I love Steve Mango. Let's go.
I love you. I'm so glad we got to meet there, and then we could do this. And yeah, come over this week, next week. You guys will have like all your chances to send in your questions. Don't worry, we'll give you more notice from my end because I only gave a little bit of notice. But yeah, come over anytime. You're always welcome here. And yeah, I have a million questions for you too. I mean, we just barely like got into it. So
You
part
can-
2 is coming, you guys.
Yeah, I always write them down, and then I get what I can. I'm like, oh, good, I answered that, and then I save the rest for the next one, and then
Yeah.
I collect in chat any
Oh, from all
questions
yours,
from
good.
chat. Yeah.
Well, you
So
got the
yeah,
Steve Mango interview. I haven't done many of these in a long time, so consider that a big win. We got me back on YouTube here. Maybe more
Yeah.
videos will be coming soon. We'll see.
Woo! Okay,
I
good.
love
Thank
you.
you. I love you. I'll see you soon, and maybe I'll come over in the next couple of days or whatever.
Yeah,
We'll figure
text
it out.
me.
I'll text
Text
you.
me after this.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Love
See you
everyone.
soon. Learning
See
and
ya.
loving.